preview the players, the 9 finalists, some familiar names. Sergio Edu here again in such crazy form. He just won one of the biggest events online, as well as I think final tabled after that. So it's like 3 final tables in a few weeks. He's been on quite a heater, as you've referenced. And again, some other names that you battle with a lot. So we'll take a look at that. But first, I want to take a look at the winning hand from the last GGMillion. We're going to take a look at I believe, Michaelitis. This was a final hand where he got his 3rd win on the GGMillion. It's pretty impressive to do that. As we know, it's not easy to win tournaments. Making final tables is hard. Winning is a lot harder here. Pretty standard. He does jam 12 blinds. Do you like that? Ace 9 off. Do you think there's any reason to induce there? Or do you like to just kind of shove, and you do see he gets called by a worse hand? That's a pretty good hand for heads up. But what are your thoughts on shoving versus just maybe min raising or even limping with a hand like this? Not probably good enough to limp, but what about min raise versus shove?
Yeah, I think like you said, I think maybe if you have like the suited combos, you can limp. I think min raise probably does pretty well, but yeah, I would think you just want to be shoving. I think it's just like a kind of value jam at this point. Like you see, you just get called off by, a lot of these hands that might defend if you open. So I think the jam is good.
Nice. Well, he gets it done. 3rd win. Again, as we are mentioning, this is a rare company to win 3 times. He does get that done. There's a look at the all-time rankings, as we do have a player who's a guest, been on the show before, and also is there located in 3rd place with 41 cash. As you can see, over 6 million in GGMillion earnings alone, with 5 titles, looking to put himself into a 6th title opportunity with a good stack today. We're going to go ahead and break down some of David's play and look at his profile. Who would you say, David, have you played a ton with him? Is that one of the guys you battle with a lot live over the years?
I actually played a bunch online with him as well. I think we were like playing similar-ish stakes for a lot of our careers, and we played like Zoom together years ago as well. So we played multiple formats together. He's probably one of the people I've played the most with.
Very cool. Well, yeah, he's someone that is always dangerous, always keeps you guessing, plays big pots, puts you in tough situations, and a very elite list there that we have seen these players many times. I'm surprised that, I guess, Sergio kind of creeping up on the list with titles and earnings. He's got himself some big heater. If you would maybe say, is he on the biggest heater of 2024 or up there in the conversation? Adrian Mateos, a few others you'd put in that category?
Yeah, I mean, I guess him and Adrian seem... I would think Adrian's at the top of that list, but maybe Sergio with, in terms of buy-ins, like Adrian's done really well live recently, but some of these big live things, it's like you win $1 million, but if it's, it might be in 100K or 50K, Sergio's kind of been crushing these things that are 10K to enter and winning 2 million, which is hard to do. I think Bas Brzezinski is on a pretty big heater this year as well. Like he won the 100K in Cyprus. He got runner-up last week in this, and now he's in the final again.
There's something to be said about momentum. We're going to take a look at some of his hands. I think we get to get one today as well. As we're going to go ahead and continue on here and look at the payouts. This is a super juiced up GGMillion, multiple flights, and there it is, 9 million plus in the prize pool, 1,486,000 from a 10K buy-in. Everyone guaranteed 176,000. Pay jumps, pretty, steady but healthy there. The first place going to be quite a battle, over 400,000 between first and second. No deal making at the GGMillion, which is always interesting. And today we're going to get to look at the seeding selection at the start, which is cool to see that little dynamic where based on your stack, you get to pick, if you have the biggest stack, you get to pick last in strategy, and that we'll look at that as well later on in the pregame. But here is our finalist for today. So we do have 9 players, and we are going to go ahead and take a look right there. Ravid Garbi, someone that has played a lot on the GGMillion. He's got 2 wins, 14 final tables, 128 appearances, very well versed here, and you can see the money list all-time 56. So really experienced, only 14 big blinds, over 10 million in GG earnings, but someone who knows his way around this final table. And of course 14 blinds, Ben, that is enough to make things happen. So he is still in the mix, and we will take a look at that. Is our 9th place stack. Let's take a look at number 8 here, as we are going to get to see Lucas Greenwood. Tell me about Luke and how much experience you have with him and playing, and what his game type's like.
Yeah, I've played with Luke quite a lot, I guess, over the last 7 or 8 years. He hasn't been. I think neither of us have been traveling, as much as some people over the last year. So I don't always see him, but yeah, he's very good. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing him play this because you don't often get to see people that you play with live a lot play with cards up. So yeah, be interested to see how he does.
Yeah, definitely a treat. Love to have Luke on as a guest here on the GGMillion as well. Someone that we see 2 wins and 50 appearances. Pretty impressive, 5 final tables, and he has got himself 10 cashes. So pretty consistent there, over 4 million in GG earnings. We'll take a look at our next player at this final table is I'm So Lucky. Definitely feeling good today. 27 blinds, first final table, and only 3 appearances. So definitely nice on the resume, getting one off early, and gonna be a profitable experience for him in the GGMillion so far. But over $1 million in earnings, just none in the GGMillion. So it's one of the players we don't know much about, and we'll get to see that game and how they play and handle the pressure today. Let's take a look at our next player. D. Krevchenko has over 400K in earnings. His first final table, 7 appearances. Also someone not quite as familiar with, and we'll get to see a little more on his game today and how he approaches it. Big spot for someone making your first final table in GGMillion, having it be such a big prize pool. It's interesting, right? You go in with a plan. It's hard to deny trying to ICM and move up the ladder, right? A lot of money at stake. But there's a guy, Sergio Edu, who is not necessarily worried about laddering, who is on a heater, who has 3 of these wins, one being a World Series bracelet, one of the special marquee big events here recently, and he has a very, very impressive resume. 161 appearances, up towards the top of the leaderboard in that category. I mean, that's what, every Sunday. That's not rebuys, so that is appearances. So that means over 3 years of Sundays he has played in this tournament, which is impressive. And there you go. You can see a lot of the earnings. And again, I don't know if that stat is correct. That doesn't make sense.
I was going to say, has he only played the GGMillions?
Only GGMillion, only GGMillion playing, but I think that might be off. We'll put that in there as an error, I think. But either way, very impressive for GGMillion earnings, and I think that's actually what that is representing, the GGMillion earnings, not everything else. So there you go. He just took down the number 33 bracelet event for the 10K. I believe that was 1.9 million. Where Negreanu was commenting, that was not long ago, and then even since then, he was at a final table again. So in great form, as we mentioned. Let's take a look at our next player today. That will be David, who we just saw on the all-time list, number 3. Very impressive, 5-time winner. He's got 33 blinds today, and about half his earnings coming from the GGMillion on GG, but 13 million in there. And someone you said you played maybe the most with, maybe give us a little bit of a look. What kind of things can you expect from David in a final table? What type of game style does he play?
He's just very tough. I think he's very aggressive, not afraid to play big pots in some of these spots where other people might be. So, not fun to be playing against, especially if he has chips.
Yeah, well, he is sitting in solid position. You can see 24 final tables, 5 wins out of 114 appearances. Pretty ridiculous stat line there. See if he's going to add to that total. An impressive resume if he can keep it going. Also has been a guest on the show before. Love to have him back. And you can see he is sitting comfortable, sitting with enough. 33, plenty of chips to play with. Let's go to our next player today. We will see a very tough in-form player. You mentioned, I believe, runner-up just recently, Vaskrensky, if we are pronouncing that right. He is someone who just said won the 100K, correct? At the live stop, I believe, at Triton, and in really, really good form right now with an impressive resume here. What's his game style like?
I haven't actually played with him too much. I think I played with him first time in Paris, probably earlier this year, the EPT, and then he played, I think, maybe one of the Tritons, and then he was at the Super High Roller Bowl in Cyprus recently. So someone I've been playing with for less than a year, but has been getting some very good results recently. So I'm kind of interested to see. I did watch last week where he was runner up and saw that he played a very aggressive style. So it'd be kind of interesting to see if he does the same today. Especially when that people have seen people who. Most people will probably go back and watch that, so it'll be interesting to see how he adjusts to that.
Yeah, it's also nice when your latest result on your Hendon mob is your biggest score. So that is his last cash. That was 100K in August. He took it down for 1.2 million, as you mentioned, at the super high roller bowl in Cyprus. So in good form, maybe vacation a little, maybe focusing online, as we saw him take second just recently in 2 final tables in a row. So in great form, 47 big blinds, plenty to play with today. Going to be a force to reckon with. Let's look at our next player, or we might get a hand actually from him. Here we go. Yeah, he's in 3rd place today, I believe. So we will see a hand here with 6 million chips. This looks like it's pretty deep in the tournament, maybe even on the final table bubble. He's got ace 10 suited, 5.9 million. Alex Kulev, another player we are very familiar with, as he is going to go ahead and open here for a min raise with ace 10 suited. Seems pretty standard so far. Sergio, 2.1 million there behind. Alex, 2 million. Ravi, 2 million. Look at those stacks. ElkY and I'm So Lucky, 16 and 14 million. That's a lot of chips in this tournament at that stage, as we are going to get to see maybe a big blind defend, looking very likely. A little bit of tanking going on, right? This is probably on the actual final table bubble.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
It's 7, so I guess it's the 13 left, maybe? 13 or 14. Okay.
Yes, exactly. You're right. But definitely on the last stay, like 2 tables left. Exactly right. Not on the stone.
Yeah, it looks like 2 tables left.
Yep. So we see ace 10 suited, no spade, 6-8-3, 2 diamonds, gets led out at a little uncomfortable, but see what he comes up with here. Just call. Is that will you call here? It's not really an appetizing situation.
It's
board.
Yeah, it's pretty immediately uncomfortable. I think.
Whoa.
I wouldn't have done this much. I think the call and fold are both kind of fine. Versus 33, I think that with the 10, with the backdoor straight draw, 2 overs, like, call is fine. It's going to be, I would imagine it's quite close between call and fold. I think this is very aggressive. I would want something a little more, like queen 10 with a diamond or something. Just like a little more hope after getting called. But,
you mentioned like insight into his game.
Clubs.
Right, he's a little more. He's definitely goes for as advertised, pretty aggressive, and this is certainly speeding. Not even on your multiple choice options, you didn't have that raised in there, but he is going to go ahead and attack as 2.4 in the middle now with the deuce on the turn of diamonds, flush possible, straights possible, ace 10 suited is got a. He's thinking wheel spinning. He's going to go for a 50% bet here, basically. Wow, pretty aggressive.
Yeah, I think we saw this last week as well. He does kind of seem to find the aggressive option quite often when given the opportunity.
Yeah, but massive, as you mentioned, massive spot. You see some 2 million stacks. He's sitting fairly comfortable, but he does attack and does get it done. So really, really nice hand there, and sort of alluding to what we were talking about, the aggressiveness. There's Ilya Anatsky, who did finally get his win on here. 14 final tables, 91 appearances, in great form. Just got runner-up in the WSOP. That was in 2022. I think he also made the final table, maybe 6th place, if I'm not mistaken, for $1 million just now on the major, the final table, 25 mil here. So he's in very good form. 6 million in GG earnings, and we're gonna get to see a hand from him that led him to his current position at this final table. Let's go ahead and see a hand. King Queen on the button, maybe a little earlier with these stacks. At the same time, hard to say, right? There's still 5 million stacked, 3.8, so it could be 2 or 3 tables left at this stage. King Queen, and would be nice to know. We don't have that information, but I think we can deduct that it's late in the tournament.
Yeah, it looks like 3 or 4 tables, so I guess.
Yeah, so the blind was 70K. We just saw one at 120K. That's also, maybe a little more play there still earlier on, as he is going to go ahead and, when folded to open on the button. And looks like they're thinking. I guess we're getting a full replay in real time, like the recording in real time. I think this is, although it doesn't look like the player's thinking there, does it? I don't see like a time bank or anything flashing, so I'm wondering if we're.
I was thinking we saw there's like the pulsing kind of thing, right? Where.
Yeah, I think that I'm gonna get a check, unless it's we'll see. We're going to see. King, queen, give you time to think about here. Kind of awkward stacks here if you get played back. That's one of those hands that's pretty strong on the button, but we are seeing, again, might be having technical difficulty. Don't see this hand progressing at the moment, but again, ElkY there in second, going to be opening here for a min raise, and there you go. We got there's the blinking. We're back into it. Want to welcome everyone. Let us know where you're watching from in the world. We are going to call the action to a winner. It's a big one today. Gets the fold now. Adamar, very familiar player, very tough player. I believe Estonia, right? That's guy who calls in the big blind, covers king queen versus, we don't know, ace king 7 rainbow. Thoughts here to kind of, guess you just have a nice range advantage. You're gonna bet small.
Yeah, I think betting small or betting bigger is fine as well. I think even like B50 or something is maybe even bigger.
Yeah, king queen doing very well against anything but that check raise, that's part of the problem too. Maybe you invite some of that when you have a hand that's a bit, it's strong, but it's not super comfortable. So he gets check raised, does call. Very dry board to get check raised on there, as the turn is a 3. Brings a backdoor flush draw. How are you feeling with king queen right now?
Yeah, I mean, these spots are quite tough because they're such low check raise, or not low, they're low check raise boards in general, so it's hard for them to have a lot of value pre-flop when you're this short. So you have some people that kind of are aware they don't have much value and don't check raise bluff much. Some people that think it looks really strong and check raise bluff a lot. And so it's not, there are some spots that are a bit more standard. People play a bit more similarly. I think this is a little tougher, and some people kind of either end of the spectrum, so it's like a guessing game. Yeah, I think so far seems fine. I think even like turn is immediately pretty close with this hand.
Well, the backdoor spade comes, so the flush possible. Having the queen of spades, I mean, I guess it's nice to have in a way, but it's also, this is scary. Like, it's like, what check raise hand here does the player have that shells off here, man? What a tough spot.
You can just think something like 7-6 with the 7 of spades can do this sometimes. Just like Jack 10 with the 10 of spades. So there's definitely hands out there. Like, the queen might not even be that great at this point, because I don't think there's that many queen high flushes that check raise the flop, but they can just have like queen jack or queen 10 with the queen of spades that you block. So yeah, I mean, quite a tough spot.
Wow. Hey,
nice call.
Great. Nice call. Maybe some history there. That is definitely a high level hand. Not everyone's gonna get to the river, and certainly not everyone's gonna call. So pretty impressive stuff there. ElkY gets it done, and Adamar goes for it. Does not get the check mark there, and does follow through. So there's a pretty cool hand from ElkY, showing you how he got going, and he is our second place stack. Let's take a look at our next and chip leader, Vladimir Minko. Over 100 blinds today, has a win, 123 appearances, 4 final tables, and 11 million in GG earnings. Plays a little bit more outside of the GGMillion, I think, more frequently than some of the other players. You can see how much earnings he has in tournaments on GG. Let's take a look at our chip leader. Let's take a look at a hand that he played to propel him to the top spot today. We'll see a 14 million stack at the 7140. This is certainly 2 tables left, and it looks like as 6, and so it could be what, 11 or 12 left here. King 9 suited with this stack, certainly going to be opening. Obviously, it's a hand we're reviewing, but he's under the gun. King 9 suited, going to open far worse than that. Covers everyone at the table and does go for a min raise. How wide with this stack do you think you would go? Would you open here in this spot, like with this, in this exact situation?
I guess, yeah, it looks so 13, 14 left. I think maybe something king 5, depending on like the exact payouts. Yeah, I mean, definitely king 6, and then probably king 5. Potentially king 4 if like some certain setups, depending on kind of who's at, what the average stack is and who's at the other table and how people are playing at this table. Sometimes people are a bit tighter as well in these huge ones, like you said, the kind of regular price pools where it's 400k up top and a lot of people who have been there before, you get, maybe played back out a little more than these ones where it's 1.5 million up top and it's some people's first deep run. You might just be at a table where no one's doing anything back to you, and you can like really widen up a bit.
For sure. Well, King 9 suited, he's going to start with a check. Queen 7-7 rainbow. And we have a player unknown. He's got a name, not a real name, uncapped in there. King 9 of hearts as a Vladimir looks curious. Going to go for the check raise. Definitely putting on a lot of pressure here.
Yeah, it's kind of immediately awkward. I think you can see bet this hand sometimes, and then I think the check raise seems fine too. Like, I think if you had something like King 8, it might be a bit too much, but with the backdoor straight draw and the backdoor flush draw and the single overcard seems pretty reasonable.
Well, he gets called, so now it does turn one of those cards for the backdoor straight draw and gets a spot where the SPR, stacked pot ratio, is getting a little tight for uncapped, and he is going to continue on the story here. What do you got? If you have, like, what hands? I mean, if you're uncapped, you have queen. What queens do you have? I guess you could have ace queen. You could have queen jack
ace
suited.
queen king. Yeah, I think king queen suited. Maybe king queen off, depending on payouts. Like, I think it might just 3-bet. It's hard to know exactly what the situation is, but yeah, this is quite a tough spot now because obviously, is not gonna. Could have 10s pre as well. Not folding ace queen. Probably would fold stuff like 8s and 9s on the turn. You kind of want them to have king queen now, but you have a king. Maybe even if you think they're a bit looser pre, like queen 9 of hearts. It's a little, it's a kind of a tough spot where there's not that many hands you think they can fold, but there's also not many hands you can end up with here that are this bad at this point, right? Like king jack got there, king 10 you would check turn. Ace 3 of spades is now top pair, so like once you're here with this hand, I guess maybe you could have something like 8-9 of hearts, but other than that, like, you kind of just got to bluff and hope they have it. Just like hope they have queen jack of clubs,
Yeah,
but yeah, it's not the most fun spot to bluff.
Yeah, I did take a pause. I think it's, again, very close, and this is putting on the line for sure. Obviously, it's nice to cover, right? It is fun. Worst case here, you bluff and you got 9.2 still, but he's going for the max pain and putting the max pressure, and it looks like a very fun spot for uncapped. What hand do you think if you're uncapped you just can't fold here? Like, what's like the hand you just, you don't love it, but you got to call?
Honestly, I'm not sure. I think you have hands like ace queen that you're obviously not folding, and then everything other than that is just like a kind of pure bluff catcher that is a pretty brutal spot. So I'm not sure I don't think there's any of those hands I can immediately think of that I'm like, oh, I'm definitely not folding this one. It seems like it would be very player specific, and that was like a huge pot. If they called and it would have been an 11 million pot, it would be like a kind of final table chip lead pot. So kind of interesting to see. I think the check raise is fine on the flop, but you see a lot of people just pass on those spots, and so kind of interesting to watch Vladimir now at the final. Clearly not afraid of putting some money in.
Yeah, very, very, very nice hand. Got some great highlight hands today. Going to lead us into that final table, get a look at how the players got there, and then it's going to take us to the odds for today in client betting odds. Very, very interesting. A big favorite there. Vladimir gets to see that impressive hand in 2.96 to 1. We can see all the way down to Ravid 25 to 1. So if you're looking for a long shot, he's got a very, very long way to go, but 14 big blinds. What would you say, anything that stands out for value for you today here? Anything that you feel that looks like, wow, that's like based on maybe their ability, their chip stack that jumps out at you here for the value of it?
Quite tough. I mean, I feel like I would take David, I think. Seems to be like somewhat good to me.
All right, well, we're gonna do a little. We'll do a little game. We'll do a dinner. We'll do a wager. I'll let you. I'm gonna give you the guest. You can choose first. You get 100 units. We each get 100. You get 3 total picks. So obviously the goal is to win. So you want to, you get to go first. We're gonna go ahead and you can break it however you want. I'll let you choose first. We each get 3 selections today on that. So you get to, using these odds, you can bet your units accordingly with the 100 total units. So go ahead. You get first pick.
Put 60 on Vladimir.
60 on Vladimir. Smart. All right, I like that. That's a good pick. I'm gonna go with ElkY. That was an impressive call, the king queen to me. I'll put 50 on him. I love that king queen call. That was not easy, and he made a nice play. Good, getting a little more value on his price. He also has a lot of chips, so I'll take that'll be my first pick. Now your second.
I'll put 20 on David.
Nice. That's who I wanted. I wanted David next. I will go 30 on Sergio. So I got 20 left and one more pick, and you have one more pick as well. Your remaining units, who are you going for?
The other 20 on Maxime.
Maxime, nice. I'm going to go my last 20 with my man Luke Greenwood. I feel like 17-1. We haven't really seen a long shot come home. I don't know. I gotta go back and see. I don't know who the longest odds that has won. We've had a couple that have really spun it up to hit like
Sergio, right?
Up. Yeah.
Sergio came in shortest. He was 9 out of 9, I think. The one he won recently, for like 2 million.
Oh wow!
I think he was. I think he literally came in 9 out of 9.
I think we didn't see the betting odds that show. I want to believe maybe because it was a bracelet event or something. I don't remember seeing what his odds were at the start of that. I might be mistaken. Someone in the audience could maybe let me know. But that's a good point. Whatever that was in client that day, that would be quite a return. Although his skill level, I know they do price in factor, but yeah, certainly a 9 of 9 would be a long shot and going to be big odds there. I don't know. All these guys, this seems like it's got the mix for a lot of action. I see these players don't seem like they're really playing too close to the vest. We've seen some hero calls and big moves. I got a feeling we're going to see absolute fireworks today. We've seen some electric shows on the last several. Of course, huge payout again today. It's going to be too close to call. I got my picks in. You have yours. And the audience at home, we are going to have giveaways for you. Please make sure you are subscribed. Please hit the thumbs up button and then stay tuned because we will have a $50 and $100 ticket within the show where I will be announcing that, and we'll get that going today. There's a lot of action, a lot to play for, and again, no deal making at this final table. And we are going to also, after we do come back from a very short break, we will get to see the seat assignment where the players get to, based on their chip stack, they pick their seat. So the shortest stack goes first, and then it accordingly goes. There is some strategy to that. I know you did do that once live for a GGMillion, I believe, event live. If it was Monaco, if I'm not mistaken. Kind of cool to see a live version of this happen and the players pick, and you get to kind of look at everyone and do that. But this is today. We'll see how that process is, a unique feature on GG after a very short break. Don't go anywhere. Ben Heath, Jeff Gross. We're playing a winner, 1.4+ million going to the first place. We'll see you guys in 5 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. After the short break, we broke down the pregame. We're going to get to look at, again, the payouts, what's happening. We are going to see ourselves the seat draw today, the seat at the beginning, which, again, is fun and some strategy based on your stack size. Last place goes first, and first place goes last. And there it is, $9 million in the prize pool, an insane Tuesday afternoon. Who would have thought? I say this all the time. I remember starting playing online poker that on a Tuesday you could win 1.4+ million online poker. Pretty amazing, the state that it is right now. And there it is, the 928 entries. Rebuys, reloads were available, and some of those players exercise that, but as it stands, 9 remain. And again, no deal making. Pretty cool how they do that. You can see 14 blind short stack, 105 for the big stack. And again, that's kind of crazy. He's got basically second and third stack combined in his stack, so a really big advantage as we saw the pricing for the betting odds. A huge favorite, but hard to win, right? Hard to actually get it done and close it out. We'll see if he can do that, and we are going to go right into that seat draw. As you see, this is what happens on GG when you make a final table. Very, very cool. You can swap. So where you're going to go sit. So you just see Ravid just swapped his position. I would say there's less strategy at the beginning, but you can still kind of maybe anticipate how it might shake out. Well, is there any strategy, would you say, at the very beginning, or is it really more indicative as it gets later?
I mean, I think that like they're already in seats, but it's kind of like it's an open table and you're just first to sit down. So for the very first pick, there's just no strategy. You just like take a seat. And then obviously it's like more and more strategy up until the final player where they're choosing on a table that's fully dealt. I think maybe the one that's a little trickier is like when you're like second and third, that like it's almost done and you're kind of, maybe you just want to sit, if you're like the second stack, maybe you want to sit across the table from the third to just like hinder the chip leader a bit so they can't have position on both of you. They're like going to be in the middle, just to make it like the EV is less so that you don't have someone with the runaway chip lead quite as often. But it's pretty tough. And it's also something, I guess, that's like you have to consider when you're coming into the final table. If your final 2 tables and you're close stack with someone, maybe you want like a little extra variance because you definitely get extra EV by being able to choose your seat.
Right. And interesting. So yeah, he doesn't go direct left of ElkY there with 15. He took to the left of I'm So Lucky. Which is interesting. There, you saw that, how he swapped there.
It might be something to do with wanting to make him tighter on the button for his buttons or something. And that is like slightly more if you're the big blind than if you're the small blind, where it's a bit harder to beat it. But I didn't actually see where he swapped from either. So it might have had, if he swapped with I'm So Lucky or something. But
I think he swapped.
I think it's gonna be quite similar.
Yeah, very interesting. Cool to see that. It'll be the first time we've ever got to watch an actual seat swap.
That might be why, because maybe if he swapped with I'm So Lucky, then he's not like this way. He gets to be on position of both the second and third stack. So he did it. I think he did it for that. He thinks it's like better than direct position, because otherwise he'd have Vaskrzynski, who's very aggressive, on his left. So I think he did it more because of that.
Does have Sergio, maybe the man who's in the best form in poker right now, on his direct left with the healthy stack. But hey, it's all you're gonna have to battle, right? You gotta play poker. You can't be on direct position of everybody. And we are gonna see an instant hand where we see a pretty interesting situation. Ace-7 versus King Jack of Hearts. King Jack of Hearts has over to the queen, 2 overs to the particular pair of the 7, and hearts in position here. And we're seeing a important pot right away developing as King Jack suited here, trying to decide, does he want to force a fold? Does he want to semi bluff here, or just get the equity on the card. And this player is aggressive, though. We've said that. We know he is a bit
Yeah,
more aggressive. So let's see if he's gonna continue
I would
to.
expect him to be betting.
Yeah.
He's he seems to really lean towards the aggressive route in a lot of these spots where it seems close. And yeah, a lot of the spots where we think, oh, maybe you do some of this and some of that. I think if there's an aggressive option, he does seem to like that. And to be honest, even this one just seems pretty normal. Like he has some very strong hands on this board, and there's a lot of hands that Vladimir check calls flop with that have a very tough time continuing on turn. So that also just seems, that doesn't necessarily one like where he's leaning very aggressive. It's just like just a good hand. This looks like there's going to be an all-in.
Yeah, queens, sevens, aces, ace, queen off, 9-handed poker, and Ravid. What a spot. You're short stacked. You got Sergio coming in for an under the gun raise. But as it turns out, I mean, Sergio, this guy's and I'm going to put him in magician status category. Is there a world where he gets off, or no, I guess he covers. He's got 8 million. It's 3.5. It's going to see jacks or ace king sometimes, but I just wonder if there's ever a world where he can get away. But I mean, Ravi, it's under the gun, and he's under the gun +1. So these are the most powerful, representing the most strength, putting money in the pot. We'll see. But doesn't seem like much of a way to avoid the all in here.
I think it's just going to go 3-bet to 950,000 or something, and Sergio will be all in, I think, when it folds back to him. Now he definitely can't get away. Yeah,
I think you're right. That was going to play out. However, it was. We're going to see 5 cards, aces to queens, a 8-8-10 clean flop. Clean turn, needs the queen on the river, else we're going to see a little shift in power of stacks, as it is not paint. That is going to be a clean double. Love the slow peel, love the features on GG, love the chess clock. I'm a little biased, but I got to say the software, the GG software is just ahead of its time, and it's remained that way. As we saw some Greg Goes All In ambassador. He's on GG now, and some doing some great content. We see the emoji that's added to the options there. Some people using that already. I think we've got ourselves a very interesting final table. That was always a start indicative of how it can go. 9 still left, right? We don't lose a player. Cooler situation. Ravid has some chips. You go from that price, I think it was 25 to 1. Now he's got 7.7. So a big double from our short stack, as Sergio now is our short stack, basically tied effectively with Lucas Greenwood. Going to defend there. Tell me about defending when you're the shortest stack. Your risk premium's the lowest. Going out isn't such a big deal. What factors are you looking at when you're defending? He did fold a suited hand, closing the action heads up there. Is that just too dicey of a hand? You're going to get in too many weird spots there?
I think you want to be looking at not just the shortest, but like how many people are there around you. There's still a lot of people between 4 and 8 million here. So he's shortest, but there's a lot of people that are very live to bust soon. So I think you want to be looking at that. You also want to be looking at the opener. Like the cutoff is going to be tighter there when the chip leader's in the small blind. So yeah, I think there's a few things like that to look at. This is going to be interesting to see whether what David does. I would expect him to go to something like 2.5 million. And then Kravchenko to be all in.
We're seeing some sick coolers right away, and this is one of those things. 9-handed, you get ace king, you get queens. It's sort of a unsettling feeling, right? You just know that people are playing good hands a lot of the time, and you could be in a spot where you're behind. Or look at that, this guy, the Ben might know a thing or two about poker. Got the sizing spot on here, and now we are going to likely just see 5 again for a large pot, 10 million plus in the making. I don't see much other way this can go. Although Kravchenko, he is under the gun, right? The player's under the gun. You don't love it. You just don't love it. Also, David's so capable, though, that, ace king is not fist pumping, I would say. But
no, I mean, you're not thrilled, but he can also just have the same hand. I think, like, there's nothing you can do, really.
Yeah, not much you can do other than hit the ace, which he has asserted he has done that. And now the king is needed, which there's one available. You can see 2.27%. That is a nasty start to this final table. And David Yan, number I think 3 on the all-time list, or 5, I'm sorry, 5 on the all-time list, was very close to being in a powerful position, and now is going to be on the super short stack. So a cooler that worked out for Kravchenko. He was coolered, but got a fortunate break there, as he is now a 15 million stack, and I believe kind of tied, right, sort of for second. I mean, he's right in that top 3, top 4 position. Some big stacks and some short stacks now.
Yeah, that seems very tough decision for Ravid with the King 10 suited. I think like all 3 options seem. I think like fold, call, and 3-bet all seem somewhat reasonable. I can see different players doing different things. And then yeah, David with the defend, and unfortunately looks like he's just going to have to check fold.
Yeah, queen 10 there, pretty live considering the situation. Did get to a flop, and not a spot where you'd want to donk. Probably put it in. He does end up going with 2 overs, and does.
Yeah, I thought he had a little more there. He only had 620, right?
Yeah, so the river actually did turn for him here, as he is going to whiff there. Now, tell me about check calling all in versus maybe leading, or does it not make much difference there because he's so short? There's no hand really. Vladimir's folding, but would it maybe make any sense to just shove then, or no? Because he's just not folding anyway.
Yeah, I thought he had a little more. I think because he's not going to fold, the shove doesn't accomplish much, but he still might have some hands that he checks back sometimes. Like maybe he decides that a hand like 6s, he doesn't need to put it in. It's unlikely. I think most of the time you're just getting it in. But you know, if you shove every hand that you're calling off, it's, you know, when you check, they know you have some, like they know you don't have anything. It's I think in practice it doesn't affect much, and just check calling it off is fine.
Right. I guess the other side would be, is there any hand you're ever getting to fold that you're, which the answer is probably not. That guy, you know, in that spot for that amount, for that situation, there's almost probably no hand that you're getting to fold that's better than yours.
You might, maybe something like King 3, no backdoor that he opened. It's like, maybe.
Yeah. Well, aces are getting
yeah, I mean, it
out.
wasn't much.
Yeah, aces, ace 5 off here. This is one hand, the weak ace out of the big blind. We see players been a little. I've seen more recently, more aggression than just calling pre. I feel like calling pre is a little. It's tricky, right? Tricky hand to play where you're at. You're kind of lost, and here he would have stepped into it. He does just call, and then going to probably get away pretty easily here, as doesn't get aggressive. Ravid getting aces 2 times in the first orbit or so. That's a nice start, up to 9 million from the shortest stack, as he is gonna see I'm So Lucky sit out, just take a little breather. A lot of action, player out, big hands getting tossed around, just taking it all in. 3rd time playing in the GGMillion, already at a final table. Luke here.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, like you said, the ace 5, you know, you see a lot of people being aggressive with those, but kind of like I was saying earlier, if you know that everyone's watched the final table from last week, and you know that at that final table you were taking every 3-bet spot, maybe you don't want to as much right now. You know, it's a little tougher to get them through if that's people's perception of you. So, you know, and you're not meant to be doing those all the time anyway. So I definitely don't mind him kind of taking slightly slower route at the start of today.
Yep, for sure. Although we did see the King Jack hearts, he did go pretty aggressively. Although that was a reasonable hand with a lot of equity and the merits to do so. So yeah, he, again, that is tough when your perceived image. That's something I think one of the most underappreciated factors in poker is to know what you're perceived at the table, right? To actually, like, it's one thing to think, but to really understand what people are thinking or how you are perceived. And you can overthink that too. You can level yourself. Oh, they watched this, or they did or not, or whatever. So yeah, that's it's interesting. Players, I think, that are great players are able to really go and take ownership of what that looks like and how to balance that. So let's see if he's able to do that, as we see a knockout early on here. Welcome everyone for watching. Thank you so much. A lot of new faces in the chat today, some familiar ones as well, playing down to a winner. Ben Heath, 23 million in lifetime earnings, joins us. He is going to be for the 2nd time in here. Also does coaching within GTO Labs, correct? You're working with some of those guys and doing Leon Strum, and who else is involved? I know obviously Jonathan and Nick, who was on as a guest last week, and we've had Daniel DeVoris as well. It seems like a pretty elite group of guys. Orpin as well. Who all got you into that specifically? What drew you into work with them?
Yeah, it's quite a recent thing. I mean, I'm very close friends with Nick, Dan, and Orpin, who founded it, like co-founded the company. So yeah, I've been friends with all of them for a long time now, and have been kind of studying with them and doing some coaching. So I think kind of naturally happened. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. They actually launched their trainer today. To go along with the library, where you can play from every position as if you're playing at the final table, which is, I think, for me, one of the best ways to learn. So it's yeah, exciting to use that. This is quite a big pot suddenly. It's interesting to see how Kravchenko approaches it here.
Well, yeah, you mentioned GTO Lab. Very cool, very exciting to see. And we've had multiple of those names who've been on the show recently. And nice to flop a flush. Ravid 8, whatever he had, whatever Wheaties or brand he did today, he is dialed in. He is making hands, getting good spots, and he has got himself 118-1, flopping a flush, going to lock himself up a guaranteed 9 million additional to the stack. And Kravchenko, it's a pretty dicey board, 4-liner, ace queen. He goes for the big turn bet, try to get out some value and slow things down. And nice check on the river. Don't think much other else was to be considered. But Ravid up to 14 million. He is tied for second. We'll call it third, a little bit outside. Started in ninth and 8 left. So pretty good spot for him. Already kicking up there and does outflop the ace queen. So big hands, man. Ben, we're bringing a lot of hands being passed.
Yeah, this is
suited, tens,
quite a start.
Flopping nut flushes, aces to queens. We've had a lot here. What up, Ryan Gleedow? Good to see you again, man. Appreciate you being here. A lot of familiar faces. Again, I mentioned to hit the thumbs up. First part of the giveaway. Going to give away 2 today. $1,500 ticket. That'll be later on. Must be subscribed to the channel. Must hit the thumbs up, and we will have some cool stuff here as we get I'm So Lucky coming in for a nice 3x on the button as one of the short stacks.
Yeah, this is interesting. Now, I think Ravid will be folding, and then I actually think Kravchenko has a really interesting decision. I think that, like, in theory, you're meant to just be all in with the tens versus the 3-bet, but this is kind of an unknown player at a big final table that I think is their first one, and they 3-bet very fast. So you're immediately like pretty unhappy with this situation, and I honestly wouldn't even hate fold for some people. They probably played with him a bit more leading up to the final table than me. I also wouldn't hate call, and just be aware that they're gonna have ace queen and ace king a lot, and kind of choose the boards that you go with. If you get an ace king queen board, you just like check fold tens, even just like an ace king deuce or ace queen deuce. And I think the shove is fine too. Like the shove is the standard play, I think, but probably had all options available there, depending on the player type.
Well, goes for aggression, and that is nice. Forces a fold. Would have been a pretty big flip. He does take it down, and ace queen suited 3-bet folding there. Interesting size too, right? 1.5 went 3x on the open. So
yeah,
kind of
seems very close.
Yeah,
not like 30 bigs, you're kind of happy 3-bet folding. 20 bigs, you're probably shove. 25 is like kind of gross to do anything.
Yeah, tough spot.
Yeah.
Queen 5 gonna be 1 over, gonna arrive. Queen 6-6 and sevens comes in for about a third pot, and Ravid, 1 over card, happens to have it. King on the turn. Blind on blind. And more paint, more overs. Sevens less excited, although was already behind.
Yeah, it looks like this will just get checked down now.
Yeah, this guy's battling. A couple chips been spread around here a little bit and are Minko with 25 million, very, very healthy. A couple other very healthy stacks and some short stacks. So pretty polarizing stack sizes today, big and small and tall. We got the 14 million, 12 million, 12 million, 15 million, 25. Then we have a 3, 4, 4 stack. So really 3 short stacks. Everyone else pretty healthy and deep. Again, 900 plus entries going to make for some deeper stacks in this tournament. We got to see some pregame show, 3 hands of how players got here. And this time, Queen's going to be a little more of a good spot for Sergio and Luke with 7s in the big blind versus the cutoff raise. And these stack sizes, not super fun spot. And wow, Ravid, no mercy. Just going for it.
Yeah, Ravid might have saved Luke here.
So much of that. So much of these butterfly effect moments in poker, right? Where you just would be in bad shape. And here, Ravid just going to 3-bet snap fold. Interesting. Just got those chips, putting them to work right away. Is that pretty standard, or you think that's a little bit out of line off that stack size to attack, or he just knows Sergio either has air or nuts, right? So he just decides that he's going to get folds there enough.
Yeah, I think it's pretty reasonable to use that type of hand to 3-bet. Sometimes, like, you're going to have a lot of value 3-bets that you're not jamming because you're deep with the small blind, and those like low ace X that don't block much of Sergio's raise fold. Like, Sergio's raise folding Jack 10 off and hands like that. The 6 doesn't do much to block those. I think it's fine to use some of those hands, and you also at that stack depth, you're not risking much of the pot. Like, the pot's 1.1 million, and he only 3-bet to 875. So you don't need to get it through that often. It's I think it's fine.
Nice.
There's a lot of aces being dealt table.
Yes. And we saw 9s get turbo mucked there with the open and the 3-bet jam from Sergio. 9s last hand in was it the big blind? Yeah. So
I think that's Sergio shoved 20 bigs versus under the gun 8. So
yeah, not much to think about, but could have been a flip in some other scenarios if it wasn't open and then shove as we see aces. Yeah, this has been a record for sure per hands. I think we've had four times, at least 3 in about how many hands we've played, less than half an hour. So a lot of big hands going around, and we've seen again 1 knockout, 8-handed still at the moment, as Minko debating to get involved here. Queen 10 off wouldn't be the right time. And Luke
it's interesting. Like, I think sometimes at live final tables and online, you see people kind of fake tank with some of the opens as the chip leader because they know they're opening wide and they want to make it look like they're thinking about doing something. But with the chess clock, it's a little like you can't really afford to fake tank much, which is great.
For sure. Everyone there, as you mentioned, the chess clock, one of the features again on GG, very innovative and effective. It does seem to make everyone play faster and then use your real decisions. You take it, but other than that, you don't waste time, and you're not Hollywood. And you can see the 15 minutes on the clock for every player to start. Some have used some. Ravid's used the most thus far, but everyone pretty healthy on the clock. Multiple times we have seen a face-off where both players heads up at we're 0-0 clock, and that is pretty exciting to see the 5-second per street max decision. You are not eliminated. You just don't have more than 5 seconds to act each time. So that is what happens when that happens, as we are going to see King 10 suited here is also, I'm so lucky, man. This guy's a fighter. He's just doesn't want to believe he's folding his King 10 suit in the big blind. He saw a late position open. Would have been a good spot to go heads up for Sam, King 10 suit. Instead, now he gets 3-bet. And again, timing so big in poker. The player you've been mentioning who's aggressive is executing that. Finds the ace-5 this time.
I'm so lucky. I think this one. I think this one does actually make sense. Kind of expected him to take that one. I think the big blind one is maybe a bit more obvious. The ace-5 off is quite a nice combo, especially when if you're expecting Luke to jam ace-5 suited as a 4-bet, then like blocking 2 combos of ace-5 suited is nice with the ace-5 off, and you're not going post flop much anyway. So I think that's a reasonable 3-bet.
And here, ace-king suited. You can see the stats there fan out on the left. The 3-bet percentage. You got the VPIP pre-flop raise for a very nice feature. That is, I believe, lifetime, not per tournament for the player, which they do have those stats there provided, and kind of interesting how that works. Smart HUD as King 10 going to completely miss the ace 3-8, super dry. Ace King suited flops well, and King 10 going to release it there. Could have been some interesting flops. That was not one. And we are going to see normal hands here now, Ben. No aces or kings or queens. A pair of deuces. Best hand dealt. Ace jack off, though. First to act off of his sub 20 blind stack.
Yeah, it looks like we might see a flop here, but Sergio's going to be hard pressed with ElkY folding a deuce. It's going to be tough for him to get to the river on this hand, I think. But at least, he's up against Luke, so a little harder for Luke to put pressure on him. Luke's going to be stronger pre, but actually has to worry about himself getting stacked too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, this is it's kind of interesting. Vladimir. Oh, I thought Vladimir was wondering why he was taking time because of the chess clock thing, but he's taken the Jack 6 off. I mean, we saw him be aggressive at the before in the intro. That King 9 hand was an aggressive one. I didn't think he'd be taking it quite this. This is very aggressive. Tough spot for Luke now. Yeah, Luke just folds. I think that's good.
Jack 6, putting it on, putting the pressure on there. 25 mil back to a very crazy stat. I mean, that's what he's got. He's got a pure 100 bigs, 8-handed here. What a spot. What a absolute. Yeah, I mean, he's doing backflips. There it is, showing the gifts. He's having fun and a lot of chips to play with here. Was that King Queen? That was King Queen off there, mocked, right?
Yeah. Yes. I was expecting him to play that, but that's what happens. I think sometimes at these big final tables, and it's their first final table, and it's a lot of money. That ladder means a lot. So, not completely surprised to see that. This would be interesting to see how far Vladimir wants to take this on. Well, I thought Ravi was going to be check calling. I guess he's not. Vladimir doesn't, unless he wants to do something. I mean, it's nice watching players play, right? Who nothing's off the table with a Jack 6. I thought it was like a fake tank pre in the small line, and he 3-bet. So I wouldn't be completely shocked to see a 3-bet or a float here.
This is the ace 7-7, super interesting too. The ace jack just going in there. I mean, again, the chip leader can definitely have, in terms of who has more sevens there. And it's a little, it is interesting when the super wide range pre-flop from a chip leader on boards. And, that's Ravid's shown some moxie today. He's definitely getting in there, getting aggressive, 3-betting a6 off against Sergio off the short stack. Again, not mandatory spots. It makes sense, but he's definitely in there playing pots. Got a nice start from the depth. You can look at the payout jumps here. Next is 228, kind of gets moving there, and heads up level over $404,000 heads up match today. Going to be super exciting. Ace King going to go ahead and just surf it in. Two big stacks there that are tangoing, and Ravid had the goods. Going to go ahead and put it in, and not afraid. Definitely not afraid. 14 million and playing. We said this before, though. We had a feeling there was going to be people playing today. This is definitely guys battling, putting chips in, not shying away. I'm so lucky, showing us a little bit of apprehension. Made the ace queen 3-bet fold, and then just open muck king queen off late position. Wouldn't have worked well for him though. Ace jack was in the big blind, so that did actually, being cautious was good there.
It's funny, the ace king off last hand, I actually do kind of see as shying away a little, because I think you have the option to just limp 3-bet non all in and get some like bluff jams.
That's true. That's
try and go for it. So I feel like kind of just shoving, what was it, 40 bigs? I feel like it is kind of shying away from the gambling a little. It's just trying to end the hand. I think it's
wow.
Yeah, they had 40 and it was 3.5.
Can we get an aces counter at home? And Ravid has had him 3 times, if I'm not mistaken. Himself has had 3 times.
This is pretty crazy.
So that's, I mean, talk about 25 to 1. Anyone at home put the in client betting on him 25 to 1. I gotta say, I like that price now. He's got 14 million, he's got aces, and he's got a man that is attacking. This feels a bit personal, Ben. These guys have been really sparring right now. And what I mean, like at some point, that's the thing. It's just like, oh, he's had aces twice. Like what you start thinking this, you're not gonna have aces or kings or whatever. And he's going to 4.1. Kravchenko.
Yeah, it's pretty hard when you're not seeing the cards. It just seems like Ravid's just been playing every hand, and like obviously when they watch it back, I realize he just had aces 3 times in 2 orbits. But it really does look like he's just kind of putting a lot of money in. So it kind of, I would assume that's why this Queen 7 suited 3-bet is coming in when Kravchenko doesn't even cover. But yeah, he just tried to put his foot down and chose not a good time. And Ravid hasn't been out of line at all, really. So it's funny that you just have that. Poker players are so aware of it's only 2 orbits, but it still gets to your head if someone's just playing every hand for 2 orbits. Yeah, it's always fun to see these stretches where people get hands and see how people react. Guess we're going to see a flop here. I think it wouldn't be completely out of the question for Ilya to 3-bet, especially if he thinks Vladimir's really out of line to open.
Oh. Yeah, Vladimir's having fun, but 25 down to 22, and he's kind of like, these are the hands where you don't expect to get, you're like, man, I actually have like a really strong holding here. I want to play, and I don't like that I'm getting pop, but that is yeah, he doesn't want to let that one go. He's like, man, I know it could have been there. Sergio's stirring up the pot, showing cards, showed the queen of hearts that one hand where the queen was there. He's in there just showing valuable, saying, hey, people are messing around today. And that is not not been the case of, other than we've seen some light back and forth. We really have only seen a few all-ins. I'm so lucky getting pretty critically short. 12 blinds, did pass a few spots. And what about the ace queen suited though? If he's going to 3-bet fold, do you think maybe just flat that one versus that spot, or do you like to 3-bet fold there? Ace queen suited. He went 3x to 1.5 million earlier.
Yeah, I think I would. I think flat is fine. I think maybe if you're going to 3-bet fold, just 3-bet slightly smaller. I think it was really kind of on the cusp of all the options, but yeah, I would have liked to go slightly smaller, and just put a little less money in if I'm going to be folding. Maybe get some dominated hands to call, like the ace jack suited, king queen suited to call as well. But yeah, I think it was a very tough spot, and one of those hands that's like really on the cusp of what you want to do. Once you put 6 bigs in, you might even be quite close to raise calling it off. It's hard. Definitely don't envy being dealt that spot. This is going to be interesting, I think, to see. He bet quite big. I think if it was kind of a B25 size here, then Ravid would have pretty reasonable options to check raise, and we'd get to see how aggressive he was planning on being. But with the size up to B50 from Maxime, it's yeah, a little tougher to do anything.
I think, yeah, I want to say Ravid just won. Yeah, he just won the I don't know, maybe it
just won like an online 5K, right?
No, but actually I think it was 2020. I'm confused now. Because I'm looking at his profile here. It says, I believe 2020 he won the 6 max 5K for 530,000. Unless he did something else again. I'm pretty sure that's what I'm seeing, that was back from a few years ago, at least on Card Player. It just comes up as that, but maybe he did it again. Yeah, I'm not sure. Won something else, but he definitely has a bracelet, and it's online, and he is putting in some work here. These guys, I mean, this guy's relentless. Is this qualify?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting.
Is this street poker or no at this point, Ben? Is that?
Yeah, I think it's getting there. I mean, I think it's like slightly less absurd than it looks. I think sometimes you actually do see some of those those type of hands come in, but I tend to feel, where it will be very specific combos at a very small frequency, and him taking the Queen 7 and the 9-4 makes me think he's a little personal, or he's just a bit over the many opens. It's going to be fun to watch that. They both still have quite a lot of chips, and sitting next to each other, it's going to be fun to see how that progresses. This looks like it's going to get all in. Hard to see it going any other way. The only way it could not, I guess, is if Kravchenko decided he wanted to take the King 5 off. But that seems a little. The Queen 7 suited and the 9-4 suited, I could understand. They're both somewhat close to the hands you want to be using. This would be a bit more out there, so I assume we're going to be all in.
I mean, Ravid definitely, although has had aces and people have seen that some, and now there's delay. He's had good hands. Definitely is like he's in there. He's out. Like if you're just perception of it, but you look at his stats here; those are pretty snug all time, right? Like his there it is.
Yeah.
Going to be all in. Ace 10. He's definitely not like super out of line, but he is in a good position. 81%. Ace 10 suited. Going to lock it up on the turn. The lady arrives. Puts the dagger in Luke Greenwood to end the dream today. Although, again, someone who's just had so much success live, online, world-class player. Hope to see Luke again soon and say hi to everyone, man. Hope to have you on the show as well. And again, I've gotten a lot of requests lately to be on. And if you guys are anyone playing in this tournament ever that wants to be on, please reach out to be a guest on the show. I know, Ben, your second time here, and I know you do review some of these, so it's fun, right, to do it in real time. There's something about doing it and watching, like not just scrolling through hands and stuff, to get the tempo, the timing, kind of remember things a little better. And I'm so lucky going to be in there been patient, gonna pick the wrong moment. Ravid has a good position here as nines flop a set, needs some running clubs, not going to be possible chop. Not good when you're praying for the chop on the river, and it is a 4 across.
Maybe?
10. It is.
Nice.
It is a 4 across. I was gonna say it's either the 9, right? The quads, or one that looked like a likely 10. And I'm so lucky, living up to the name, gets through the blinds. He is the shortest though. Sergio's still short too, and he picks up ace king suited. Ravid, that was a little robbery for Ravid, on fire right now. Alexis in the chat really putting the 10 out there. Got it. As we see 100 people hit the thumbs up. Let's get it moving. Let's get it popped up. Although the winner today will be announced. We're going to see ace king suited go ahead and throw it up, and there he goes. He's back over, going to be over 4 million through the blinds, so still in the mix. Sergio just feels dangerous, doesn't he? He just feels like he's never quite, he's in good form. He's running well. He's still in there.
Yeah.
He's just doesn't.
I think this is what he did at the big one, right? He just kind of hung around, and then suddenly at the end, there was a big chip leader and 4 or 5 equal stacks, and he suddenly just spun it up and won it. This would be interesting to see. Yeah, okay, he just defended. It's going to be hard for him to lose this one. I would imagine he check calls here. I think check raise is fine too, but yeah, that seems reasonable. Just try and let him kind of blast off into you. You have just such a lock on the hand and not that many chips. Be interesting to see here. The ace 9 starts going for it. Sometimes it's hard to resist, when you feel like you're on a run and Ravid's just gone from like 5 million to 20 million, you feel like everything's going right. I feel like it can make you a bit more tempted to start taking the bluffs. It's hard not to be biased and just think, today's going great. I'm just gonna go for it. And now I expect Sergio to shove, but call seems reasonable too. Yeah, kind of expected him to put it in. I think call is better. But I think you see a lot of people kind of decide to fast play when there start being those like bad rivers, and like 4-6 that people start checking back and just trying to get the money in. But I think that seems like a good slow play, and hope they just kind of triple off against you.
Sergio, he's cooking. He is in the cooker spot. 8 mil, chipping up. Another nice kind of spot, uncontested. Chip's going to go his way here. Ace King, almost certainly, right? He's going to get to 3-bet. Nothing much Minko can do. And he's going to be up around, what, 9 mil?
I think he has a close decision between all in and non all in. Like 27 bigs. You know, if you have above 30, it's definitely spot you want to be. Not definitely, I guess, but you know, I think you want to be going non all in and then sub 25, mostly all in, and 27 is like right on the line there of what you want to be doing. Another interesting one.
And I'm so lucky not folding ace queen this time. He is flipping, would have been last time. Let's just see if he's got the RNG right. Fives are ahead. That is drawing dead to from ahead to drawing dead. That is a just in case river turn missed it. You get the river, hit the turn for the nuts, got the river ace. And that is, I'm so lucky, was a river chop away from being out in what, 7th. And now he is in a 9.6 million right in the mix, but no one's short now. We got ourselves some poker. Only stack kind of short is Kravchenko, but he still has 22 blinds. So this is a wide open, Ben, kind of too easy to call. If you did put the money on the 25-1, you would be feeling good about this situation. You feeling good about 18 mil all of a sudden. He's basically tied almost for the chip lead.
Yeah, these become a bit more fun to watch for me now, I think, when, there's no clear chip leader or clear short stacks. It's kind of anyone's game, and you get to see who steps up and really pushes it.
Yeah, this is wide open for the taking. King Jack off, gonna limp. And ElkY is gonna take, I want to say the bait, but yeah, one of those worst kind of bad hands that goes up in the, you want your best and worst hands to shoot up as the King Jack. Gonna just check call and get a nice flop. And ElkY could do a little bit of storytelling here on the King 7-7. Pretty dry, moderately dry. There is a flush draw, but he has got, you want to just take that down. Then when you don't, you kind of get into having to decide when to cut it off if you are just blasting with basically zero equity.
Yeah, I think these trips boards or like the pet boards are at least usually pretty good for the big blind, just because you have a lot of those like 7-4 off, and so you actually do make some really good hands. Whereas, something like King 10 deuce would be a lot worse for you, where it's a lot harder for you to have something good with your pre-flop bluffs. And a lot easier for Vaskrzynski to have something. Vaskrzynski's still going to have a lot of like Jack 10 offs here, like Jack 8 of spades that completely miss. So not surprised to see this line from ElkY c-bet, and then giving up on the turn seems pretty natural when you've really just got nothing going for you. Quite tough, these spots, because as the big blind there, with how your pre-flop range looks, I think a lot of people are used to bluffing with equity. If you're looking at like in position, like hijack versus big blind spots, people are just used to wanting equity to bluff. And, in big blind ISO versus small blind spots, you just don't have equity much, right? Because all of your bluffs pre are just like 10 deuce off. So you really rarely have a straight draw. So you do have to actually just take some of them and just run them off, because otherwise you just don't have any bluffs. So they're quite tricky spots to get right. So I'm always interested to see how different people approach them.
Yeah, it is very, very interesting as we see ace queen suited, queen deuce. Minko really hasn't got to get moving here. He had 25 mil. He's kind of chipped down to 20. He's gotten played back at, sort of open, and hasn't had great situations. He had the a7 off right off the get, where he ran into King Jack suited and got semi-bluffed off the turn. And here he is dominated, calling out of position, as neither player going to connect with the board. Both backdoor flush draws, ace queen in the lead. So, he's still sitting nice, but he's not really got to just run away and sort of have the dream, chip leader, pick up pots, no contest dynamic going at the moment.
Yeah, it can be pretty frustrating. I think when that happens, you expect to come in and steal some pots, but you end up also, you're playing wide ranges. So a lot of the time you don't have a great hand. And if anyone plays back at you, there's not always much you can do. So you know, you can just kind of run into it. But this is quite a big check raise, right? I think the check raise is fine. Maybe you want something a little better, but seems within the realms of reasonable. Definitely like pretty big size. I would expect slightly smaller. I think and then I think the ace queen suited seems good to continue. It's going to be interesting to see. Like, this is a pretty hard turn to continue on, right? Queen deuce of clubs. You went for the big check raise size as well, but you never know. He might try and start getting something like nines to fold. But yeah, I think give up is the play. You got some better hands to bluff here. Interesting to see what ElkY decides. You know, like, it looks a lot like what Vladimir has, right? It looks like he's just got a kind of bluff that gave up. ElkY might just decide to kind of bet third point in position and, you know, stop himself from getting bluffed on the river.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this seems fine from ElkY. Like, he's pretty strong after calling that bigger check raise, and, you know, hard for him to actually be that unpaired after calling such a big check raise in the jack on the turn. So I think that's a reasonable bet.
There's another Greg goes all in. People loving those new emojis. The Greg goes all in there, rocking it, and he is again seeing a spot where Ravid actually has a massive board here. Jack 7, Sergio Ado with the inferior flush draw, and that is the gin card. Jack high to nut flush when the king is out there. So this is a pretty nasty one, right? Ace, you lose to the ace X flush and queen X flush. In your mind, you're feeling pretty good here.
He might lead here, actually. I mean, yeah, I think he's going to be. It's really hard to see many ways for him to not get stacked this hand. He needs something just like, you know, deuce of hearts to roll off, and
word pair still not.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's Hold'em, right?
Still,
Hold'em.
I think it's still going to be pretty hard to get away. Yeah, I mean, there's some low chance that he gets away where he goes 3.6 million and then. No, I think maybe just like 3.6 million and get shoved on and find some insane hero fold where he just thinks that someone's not taking this spot. But it's pretty easy for Ravid to just have like ace queen with the ace of hearts. That, you know, all that's happened so far is he's just like c-bet and then called a small lead. So, you know, but yeah, I mean, now he's about to hate this pretty fast. And I am not expecting a snap. I know that, like, you know, last week there were some hands that kind of I didn't expect to be snap put in, but
yeah,
he decided to.
That's just too much.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean, like, I kind of expected to be like a. I think there was one last week, right? There was a huge flush over flush pot last week that I was expecting to be like tanking, and it ended up just going in super fast. And I think some people, you know, he blocked the river, and he just like, if I'm betting this small, it's to induce some bluffs, and I'm not folding. And I guess, you know, those hands that, you know, maybe you would try to think for 30 seconds, but you know you're not going to fold in the end. When you have the chess clock, you really like, you're just better off making your mind up quick.
Yeah. The GG, Greg goes all in. GG was waived. Sergio, can't complain. Got to say, he's on a massive heater, crushing final table in the biggest ones. Like you mentioned, too, 10Ks, not necessarily just 100K or 50K, 25K buy-ins, getting big scores. The 10Ks just ripping off 250s, millions, 1.9 left and right here. So he is having quite the year. And that is another impressive final table. Not getting the win today, but Ravid is your chip leader. 29 million, 25-1 odds in client betting. Ravid looking good with second place at 18 million. I mean, he's basically double third and fourth right now. So a very interesting shakeout. I'm so lucky. Certainly got a lucky run here at the moment. He is still in with with 6 left. As you said, big spot, hasn't been here much before. Passed the king queen off, open, late position, got in, you know, passed off ace queen, 3-bet, folded to the jam earlier, and he is all of a sudden down to 6 though, right? He's a little bit of luck, ace 6 to 9s, stayed in with that river chop, but guaranteed himself a nice payout right now. Got himself at least a healthy 6th place, looking for more.
Yeah, I think he seems to be going a bit by like the feel of the situation as well, because you know, after seeing the ace queen 3-bet fold and the king queen fold, I didn't expect the ace 6 shove. But you know, I think maybe Ravid had been opening a lot, although we knew it was just aces a lot. You know, he kind of took that spot, so I think he's kind of just like picking and choosing by who's in the pot and you know, maybe just how he feels about that hand. But yeah, he's definitely was very close to being out with that ace 6 after the, you know, he had a couple of percent on the flop, I guess. So pretty nice spin up for them. We'll see if it continues. This will be interesting to see what Minko takes here. Somewhat expected. Oh, I didn't see the 8s. Yeah, this is interesting too. Seems quite close, so I expect him to 3-bet, get it in. Yeah, looks like it's gonna be that. And now somewhat, I could maybe see Vladimir doing something here if he wanted to. It's not like out of the question. Small 4-bet shove wouldn't be like the most absurd play. If you think he's gonna have a lot of linear hands like this that are 3-betting to get it in with the 16 bigs, you know, but can't get it in versus you, then you can do some crazy stuff. But now it looks like it will just be going shove and call, I think.
Yep. Wow. A lot of chips, 12 million in the middle, 8s to ace queen, pretty classic flip. 8's a great flop. Ace queen looking like it's on an island. Does pick up that backdoor 4. Needs a ace or queen or 4. Gets it. Ace queen. I man, what a clean looking flop. The turn was a little scary. The ace does arrive, and is everyone just set to Greg goes all in default emojis, or are they just the best and the newest? Because I've seen like 95% Greg goes all in emojis, man. The guy has unbelievable content. If you haven't checked it out, check him on Instagram, and he is now on there, and they're utilizing those. And that is a fiery moment for Kravchenko. The ace on the river. That is, Ben, when you talk about final tables, you look back at your year, you can come down to certain flips, certain moments where, you know, you get 6, you get 7th, you get 8th at a big spot. And if you get top 2 or 3, you know, huge difference in your year potentially. So that was a big one there. 6th place, you can see 1.4, almost 1.5 million to first today. 6th place is still very healthy, but a big difference. And that is a big moment there for Kravchenko, who's maybe one of the more unknowns at our final table as well. And he does get a big 12 million chip pot his way. ElkY seems like he's been here just almost every week as well. He just seems like he's around. He just had $1 million score in the 5K 25 mil. He's in good form too. Some very high level poker going on as we see 8s and deuce 5 off. Deuce 5 off.
This is going to be
worst hands you could have. Just no. It doesn't have a deuce actually. It doesn't have a deuce.
Yeah, I think you can still have some kind of maybe just. It's quite hard because a lot of the hands you stab flop with, you're going to have a single club in. So, you know, there's not that many just like 4-3 no club, but you have some of them. It's interesting that the 8s has decided to bluff there actually.
Man, Minko's stats are wild. Did you just see that? His all-time stats flick on the right there. He's got a crazy high VPIP and just sort of involvement in hands, as he does have a second stack here, 18, almost 19 million. He was chip leader. Ravid was our shortest, 14 blinds, now is the chip leader, as we are 6-handed playing down to winner. Shout out to Corbin tuning in. What's up, my man? We got, again, some very new and familiar faces at the same time, enjoying a big prize pool on the GGMillion today. Next week, we got a special guest coming on, man, getting back into poker. Eugene Kachalov hasn't been around for a while. He was one of those guys kind of early on in poker, had a lot of success. He's sort of diving back in, getting into content and poker, and going to be cool to have him on. Haven't spoken to him in a while, so we'll have another great guest and hopefully another great final table as the I don't think it'll probably be around the 400 or 500K mark for the purse. This is definitely one of the bigger purses we've seen other than the special edition WSOP events. And we see another hand that could be tangoing tens and ace jack. I'm so lucky has involved with Kravchenko multiple times today.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Actually, I haven't. I played with Eugene at the start of my career, but I haven't seen him. I haven't played with him in years, and yeah, he was great. So be interested to see what he's been up to. Hopefully, if he elaborates on that a little on the show. Yeah, this is interesting. Now the tens, I think you can see undecided there about whether to flat or 3-bet, or is this looks like a min 3-bet, right? Quite an interesting choice. Not something we see that often. I mean, we start seeing these days more and more small 3-bets, but the literal min 3-bet at this stack depth, not something we see too often. And then, yeah, I don't blame the ace jack for peeling when, usually you'd have a pretty happy fold to the 2.5x 3-bet or something. But when it's not, a literal min extra 350, you kind of have to flick it in. And yeah, not much you can do here.
Yeah, nice
kind
pot.
of interesting hand.
Very similar before, tens to ace queen. They were battling. This time it was tens again for Kravchenko to ace jack off. They get to a flop that time. Yeah, this is a lot of poker left. Still very healthy stacks. 20 blinds plus for our shortest stack.
Oh, I didn't expect him to pass on that on queen 8 off on the button into two stacks with a lot of pressure from someone that we've seen typically kind of like to go the aggro route. Somewhat interesting.
You're building it up for him.
You
said he's too wild. He's taming it in, man. He's checking the stream out. He's respecting you, and we're seeing 383 guaranteed for the next spot. Big money today, over $1 million to play for between 6 and first. So we are going to be sticking with you to that end. A little bit of baby pair flair here, 5s to 4s opening, and again, probably just a good hand to close the action with. We saw some sets already. Sergio hit the set of 3s earlier, and the 4s and 5s gonna battle here. Minko, yeah, he's a bit upstuck, right? He was up to 25, maybe even had a little more at one point. Now he is down to 18, and it's one of those things, right? You're still in second. You got to feel great, but I think emotionally, when you start feeling like you're sort of down ticking, you don't feel like you're asserting yourself, and players are kind of having their way. It's definitely a very big part of the mental side of poker, and I think that's a term that I give Phil Locke credit for many years ago when I first heard him say it, was upstuck, right? You're like you're chip leader. You felt it, like you're running away in a tournament early on stages. You're one of the chip leaders. You lose 30-40% of your stack. You're still top 20 or 10, and you feel kind of like you're losing it, and then things are falling apart. It's important to be able to walk away and reset, because it is so much about Elliott Rowe, that sort of mindset. Every hand's a puzzle, kind of reset. And I think there are people that are obviously way better at that than others to kind of be able to reset and refocus, and not get a hold of what's happening, and not overthink too much about that.
Yeah, I think that's something you see like Mateos is great at, just kind of playing every hand as a completely new hand. I think a lot of the top players are, but it's definitely a hard thing to do. It's funny, I was just thinking as well, the hand last time where he skipped the queen 8. It's interesting where we've seen I'm So Lucky pass on some tight, the ace queen suited, the king queen, but the one that showed down was the ace 6 suited jam, which was a little loose. So for him, I guess in real time, that's all he's seen so far. And yeah, maybe he just thought not getting it through often enough if he's jamming wide.
Well, this is another creative way, wins the hand. 4s, 5s both didn't like their board there with playing the board. The 9 out there, nicely done though from Minko. Takes a shot, recognizing the situation, does pick it up. So still at 20 million. Some Phil Lock fans in there. Yeah, he was just calling the main event here. Was what is this GIF? Are these GIFs approved by? Is that a pig with a thong on? Why is that? That's not from the library? Can you? Are any GIFs allowed, or is that from the GG library? What was that? What just happened there? How does that work on here? Do you have your own? Can you upload yours for approval, or is that like I've definitely never seen that one.
Yeah, I thought they were like you got given the options by GG of which ones you could use. This looked like it might have been a self-uploaded one.
That does beg the question. Who's in charge of the approvals over there? That was definitely a little light, but interesting. And 20 million, he's feeling good. 26 million, lot of action today. We have seen some great poker, and we are seeing another interesting matchup. These two have definitely battled the most. Nice to have the key card there. Got the king of clubs, 2 backdoor straight draws, and he is going to make the nuts right on the turn. Queen 10 suited. Had a gut shot straight draw, but now going to be much less attractive with the 4th club coming, and Ravi decides good time to start checking. I have the nuts. And
yeah, I think seems kind of close. I think you want to be, you don't want to always do it, but I would be leaning to bet this one and check something just like King Jack with the king of clubs more, or even kings, where you kind of want them to be, when you're checking, you want them to start bluffing you, right? And having the 3 where you're blocking like 5-3, deuce 3, some of the unpaired bluffs, maybe not quite as attractive to go into the check call line. And when I had something like king 6 blocking, 2 pairs that can call me, I would start checking. But it's gonna be a very close thing, and doing either one's gonna be fine.
Queens. There we go. We're back to some big hands. Deuce 3 suited for a min raise. Under the gun, though. Applied odds not really there. And giving the 3 high a pass, as we are still 6-handed. No one.
Yeah, it's also very it's very sensitive, right? Where for me, I'm used to playing big blind ante, so you're kind of always facing the same odds. Whereas here, you've got to keep track every person that busts. Suddenly, you're facing these raises with less money in the middle, so it's quite tough to keep track of sometimes. Those big blind defends getting like worse and worse as people bust. Another ace is pretty crazy. What it's been like 40, 50 hands.
We've seen 5 or 6. I think it's for sure 5. I mean, Ravi's had him 3 times. I know it's 5. It might even be 6 or 7. I think 6 is the number, but definitely a record. I've never seen it quite like this. And again, Minko, just in terms of timing and distribution, just getting another time where he opens sort of a weak, modest holding and then just gets run into. So many times you're just going to see the big blind defend or get through, but he does run into a top tier 1 hand, the best hand, aces, and just has to fold. So moves on. Could be worse though, right? Could be in a spot where he's sort of just getting out of the way for the min raise, not really having to go post flop and deal with tough situations. But was up, I think his peak was he over? I definitely had 25 million. He's got 19 now. I'm not sure what his actual peak was, but has chipped down Ravid on the run. What was Ravid's actual stack? And I know he had 14 blinds. There was like, what do you have, 3 million or 2 million? Something really 4 million maybe?
I think it was 4, yeah. Maybe 3.5, right? 3.5 when he shoved against Sergio with aces into queens at the beginning. I think 3.5. I think he had 14 bigs at 250. So yeah, quite the spin up from 3.5. But yeah, I mean, like you said, Vladimir hasn't had any really big pots he's won, so it's not always the worst, right? Some people have bust, you've kind of locked up some extra money. It's not that many big blinds. You've lost like 15 big blinds, so nothing too bad has happened. A little surprised to see him pass on that king 8 off defend versus the mid stack last hand. Usually those hands go pretty well for you because it's just so hard for the mid stack to put pressure on you post flop. But this could be an interesting one. Don't expect Vladimir to be going anywhere.
versus the
anytime
missionary.
soon.
Have you heard that hand reference in poker? The missionary. Someone was on the show recently and they never heard. Daniel Negreanu say never heard that, which I found shocking to be in poker that long. I think that's one of the common. Have you ever heard that reference?
Nope.
Top and bottom. All right, there you go, Ben. You're over there proper in the UK over there, but this is a little, that's what's happening. King 8, 10, 6. We see the ace roll off as 10, 6. Still pretty strong. Hard to make a pair and hold him. No limit Texas Hold'em. He's got 2 of them. The now ace comes. Things a little more dynamic, but flush draw possible. Still 10, 6. You're feeling pretty good blind on blind. Wide ranges. And he is going to go for a tariff tax. And King 8, this guy, I think Minko has a bit of trust issues. You know, he's just in here as a huge bet in that pot, and he is curious. He's saying, what do you have? Ranges are wide. There's a lot of possible draws. Pretty wet. You could have 7x, 9x, picked up a flush draw. Jack Queen, Jack 9. There's a lot. There's a lot going on. But this would be a really ambitious call.
Yeah, it does. With the straight on the board, like I think if it was 10-8-5 flop and you want to call the turn here, then you know it's pretty reasonable. I think it's a little dicey when you can just be dead, and you know it also means you have a lot of hands, maybe even just like 6-7, that you at least have some kind of backup with your pair. Yeah, I think that seems good from both players. Kind of interesting to see how Rabid starts playing now, because you know, starting to really extend the chip lead. It's interesting to see how people want to step it up. Some people, especially in these big spots, it can be tempting, right? Where you think, okay, maybe in theory, I'm meant to play some of these really aggressive plays to squeeze out every like last bit of EV from the game. But, you know, there's got to be a part of you that's just like, I can just kind of cruise to second and get myself a million. So it's always interesting to see which route people go. At the moment, he's just been pretty smooth sailing, right? Just had that one chop that wasn't, you know, it was a chop for 10 bigs each. There's just been like a steady rise from almost 10x the stack now. It's quite crazy. It's having a good day.
Yeah, it's true, and we're seeing again another early position open. Min raise ace 8 suited has ElkY in bad shape. And again, these are the ones where I've seen people just kind of pitch or 3-bet and against under the gun, though, 6-handed. And this player particularly, I don't think ace deuce off going to be attacking. Does fold, was dominated. And here, a little more normal hands, no aces or queens, and ace 3 and deuces. These guys have battled a lot today, and here we go, flat with deuces, Ben. That's something I don't see a lot going on.
Yeah,
and
I didn't expect that. I think you know, the standard is to fold. Kravchenko deciding to take a flop against the wide chip leader range. And don't blame the stab either. You know, like Rabid has ace 3 off, but you could just as easily have ace 4 off, ace 5 off. So just getting some like protection for the deuces. Maybe you get to bluff some runouts. Maybe you spike the deuce. Yeah, I assume now they're both just going to show it down, kind of happy. Rabid can beat some hands. I mean, you know, they both do, right? Just kind of hope the other person has ace queen kind of situation now.
yeah, maybe a block, Robbie, thinking the bet, checker bet here, but maybe just enough hand, right? Betting enough doesn't do it too much. As you said, maybe an ace queen type hand or ace 10 suited. Robbie gonna get the winner there versus deuces. Kind of a weird one. Ace 3 and deuces again. Yeah, you don't see that flat very often in the spot, but he is the chip leader. Up to 32 million, 8x to stack at least, maybe 9x, 10x, 9x to stack to come in and be the chip leader. 6-handed. Upper left, you can see when the blinds go up. We just did go up to 2-4. Every 20 hands that does happen, as I'm so lucky limps in king 5, king deuce off versus this player, this situation with the big little gap unsuited. Definitely a reasonable hand to take it up to 1.4. So see if he does that.
Yeah, I would expect this to come in quite a lot. It's quite hard to kind of, as I was just saying about the A6, it's quite hard to keep track of, you know, exactly what they've seen compared to what we've seen. But yeah, I think that's like a reasonable candidate. King high still pretty strong in the check line, of course. Maybe you want some just like, you know, 7 deuce off more. So I think you go either way. So it's been interesting because Vladimir hasn't been completely out of line in any spot, right? Apart from the Jack 6 off against Luke. So it's kind of interesting to see him go so far away from what we would expect in one hand, but then all the other hands stay pretty much, you know, quite disciplined. So, yeah, not fully what I would expect. Like I kind of expected people who take the Jack 6 off spot to take this one a lot, but yeah, clearly not.
The quick check there, generally, I looked at as some showdown. The king pretty strong on this board. I think that Vladimir's maybe understands this isn't like great. Probably doesn't have like the snap check with Jack high or Queen high, but it's 1.9 million there, and it does have king high. Checks it back, going to be a king 5 win actually, right? So the 5 plays there. It's ace 8-8 king. Wow, interesting.
Yeah.
Nice hand. I'm so lucky. Gets to show it down, wins it.
Yeah, I think that's a spot where you know you're probably not good a lot with the king deuce, but they can still have some like queen jack, queen 10 and stuff that play this way. So yeah, just decided a little too good of a hand to start bluffing, and you know, you just check it down and most of the time lose. So it's interesting with the chess clock, right? Because I feel like Kravchenko hasn't been acting very slowly before this. So like once you start tanking for the open, can you open anymore if it's clear you had a close decision? You kind of like sitting out maybe just wasn't.
Yeah, it's King 10 going to open here and 4 deuce off, one of the most not going to play. I mean, just not. Ravi just with that chip stack wants to play almost everything. Going to fold there against I'm So Lucky who's on the button, and again the pretty much clearly least experienced player based on results that we see for his profile and also some of the play today passing on the king queen and other. He just not going to come defend with the 4 deuce off. Gives it up as we see the Minko. I do feel Minko's a little bit itching to play and get involved. I feel like he's just kind of looking to get in and be more assertive. And I think, you know, it's like either open light 3-bet tight or open tight 3-bet light type of mentality where, you know, as a chip leader, you want to be active, you want to be involved. And he just hasn't quite shook out, but still with such a lead he has, you can see he's been patient and he's still in second with 6 left, 17 million, pretty healthily in second. So not doing a good job, I would say. He's not gotten like really frustrated. It doesn't seem like he's made any major sort of blunders.
No, and I mean now with Ravid on his direct left, he is just a little handcuffed with what he can do. You know, he's probably sitting there thinking he's in a good spot. Kravchenko's actually still sitting out. I kind of assumed he was like tanking the a6, and you know, sometimes you just see people sitting out. I was wondering why Ravid opened the 8-4 off a little loose, but he was only opening to 1. So this might be one that Vaskrzynski takes, right? It's just like heads up. Nope. So yeah, it's cool to see him kind of change gears a bit from last week.
Yeah, he also might be hyper aware, and so like exactly knowing that he could just capitalize when he does actually get great hands. But of course, we've seen aces handed out so many times, but it doesn't mean like even today he's been pretty patient. He really hasn't gotten a premium. I don't think we've seen him. Maybe he did have aces once, but I'm not sure. Just really hasn't been getting a lot of strong hands. As there's that big pair queens for Vladimir, and this time he is going to get a nice opening hand, not much behind to play with. I guess ace 8 off, closing the action, the big blind. Curious what I'm So Lucky sort of been passive in spots and does call here. This is a tough hand to play against under the gun open, out of position, and he is just going to whiff though against top set.
Yeah, almost too good a flop for Vladimir to get anything.
Ever check back or no with the queen 9-4, possible jack 10, king jack, king 10? You just still want to do bet something. It's almost with this board, you just would never really check back, right? With this range advantage either. So it's just
Yeah, I think it looks a little too suspect. I think. I mean, even if you don't, you people know that you can have queens and be tricky, but you can also just have like ace nine or tens. So I don't think it's like people are just going to start bluffing just complete air off into you on the turn anyway. So I think you just bet and hope there's still another queen out there. There's the straight draws, like you said, and nine. I think you just got to hope something happens.
Yep.
Um,
And
I think it's tempting sometimes in those things to like really slow play too much or trap, but what happens is a lot on the turn. The hands you're going to get money from on the turn, most of them are hands that would have put some money on the flop anyway. So I think you just have to kind of accept that sometimes your sets won't get paid and just hope they connected in some way.
Yep. There it is again. Ben,
Aces
this
again.
is definitely a record. I think we got however much show we have left. We are an hour and 20 in, and we've had aces 7 or 8 times today so far, which is just insane. And there's a look at ElkY's stats, playing a much wider V-pipping 32%. We've seen some comparisons today. Some more aggressive side, 8-9 suited, and this is a interesting flop. Although I guess ElkY does have ace king, and Ravi never has that. But this is definitely a kind of a weird one if you're ElkY too, right? Because it's such a connected board, and you do have aces, but yeah, Ravi.
Yeah, especially when they're I mean, it is the chip leader. I think at the moment these stack depths though, like if it gets much deeper, you might see the 8-9 not fast play as much, where they're worried about the ace king. But for what did they start on? 17 blinds, 18 blinds to start the hand. It's not as much of a concern. You're getting stacked. So with the 8-9, you want to focus a bit more on how to get the money in versus the part of ElkY's range that you are beating. And there's a lot of like aces, kings, king, queen, jack, queen 10. Can't see that exact. Oh, is it 1.35? Interesting to see whether he chooses. I think it's quite a close decision, right? You have to decide whether you think ElkY's going to bluff off something like ace four spades 2 on the river, or whether he's going to, bet call something like this.
And look at their profiles too. Pretty different on their stats there. Much different look at that, as we see a pretty big cooler, and ElkY does bet call it off, as we're going to see our 6th place knockout. 5 remain now, and yeah, very interesting. Nice hand by Ravid. Way to get the check raise on the turn. Got it in a great spot and did take it down. So that is a knockout. Big hand there. Low end of the straight gets paid. Clean turn. And 40 mil. He is absolutely cruising.
Yeah, I mean, this is just like the dream spot, right? The person in second on your direct right, and then the other 3 all on really similar stacks. There's just not much anyone else can do. And obviously, it's poker, and you still don't even, you have less than half the chips, so anything can happen. But it's a very, very good situation here.
And just flats the queens, decides that, a little bit of a mix, maybe player behind squeezes. Also, you just get to play in position against the next biggest stack, under rep your hand. Definitely some good properties to do that. Although based on his ability, his game, and what's been going on, I'm a little surprised he doesn't 3-bet. But as it stands,
yeah, me too.
It's definitely interesting. I mean, to be 5-handed and start 9 of 9 with 14 blinds and have double second is pretty impressive. That is quite a run.
Yeah.
And this is also in the equation of why not to maybe flat, is you invite in a 3rd player. And now on this board where king 9 is just in no man's land, I guess maybe just 3-bet, take it down, right? Would have been pre. Instead, now you got bottom 2 against your queens, and kind of a weird spot. But with that said,
it's an interesting. I think maybe if you're slightly deeper, like I think this is an idea. Maybe if Vladimir had 60 bigs or something, and you're kind of way ahead of the pack, and the 2 of you don't want to play a huge pot. But I think when he's got 45 bigs and you have double, so I think you still want to be 3-betting to get it in. But I doubt there's much in it, to be honest, in terms of EV. Interesting to see Vaskrzynski go for the lead here as well. This is like a common thing for for chip EV, when you have some of these straights that the other 2 don't. But you saw him tank pre-flop with a 4-5. He might not even defend the 8-6 suited. Definitely not the 6-3 suited. And a lot of his offsuit hands he defends are like king queen off. So it's not actually as good a board for the big blind as as it would usually be for chip EV. So A little surprising to see him lead there, but I don't think it's crazy or anything. And then would assume going for the check shove here. Maybe check call, but seems like check shove, right? You just like get protection, you stack some kind of king jack of diamonds hands. It's not the worst if something like 9-8 of spades just bet folds against you. Interesting. Yeah. Ravid just went for the big bet, right? Clearly kind of thinking he's got a lot of the 7-8, 7-6, 5-6. Maybe expecting more fast plays from the big blind with value, but I think the queens had a lot of close decisions in this hand. I feel like everything could have kind of gone either way. Yeah, it's a pretty gross spot, but I think you just got to fold as the queens now. You've got like the absolute worst queens combo to have, and this is quite close to the bottom of the hands you're going b60 on the turn. So pretty nice pot for. It's kind of the first real big pot we've seen Ravid lose, right?
Yeah, that was the first setback, and kind of again, if you just it's interesting, but you just 3-bet there, Vlad. You're up to 40 mil. You just in control, and then a little swing, not a huge deal, but at the same token, it could have obviously can work out differently with the flop or the situation. You could stack, or someone could wake up behind and jam 8s or 9s or something, and you get a really good spot. So it's all interesting. But that, as it turned out, that was a little bit of a swing for Ravid. His first sort of, he's just been upticking, purely chipping up. That was his first sort of adversity. And now we've got 2 players with about 17 mil. He's got 34. Other 2 around the same. So 5-handed, big payouts, big moments here. Welcome everyone to hit that thumbs up. I'm gonna do the first giveaway here in a second. We will cue that up. Must be subscribed. Must hit the thumbs up. Appreciate everyone here. Let us know where in the world you are watching from. Gonna have a winner today as King 7 suited absolutely smokes this flop. The open-ended king high flush draw, ace 3 of diamonds, does have backdoor diamonds. Also, did have the best hand, but yeah, decides not to get sticky there. Makes sense. Not a very appetizing board, as we'll just get out of the way. Ace 9 off, though. Gonna go to work here, opening. Taiwan, 4 a.m. Wow, dedication. What's up, yellow? Good to see Norway in the building. A lot of familiar faces. Netherlands, Dubai, Ireland, international group. Over 2,000 watching. Let's queue up that first giveaway. It's 5-handed. Only need to put it in once. We don't need to spam. Actually, if you put it in more than once, could be DQ'd. We'll do that. You put the giveaway in. I'm going to come up with the keyword here in a second. Ben, you going to the Bahamas? Forgot to ask you that. 50 mil, 25K. Does that get your appetite? It's a little bit of a hike, but going to come for that?
I'm still undecided. I think if I get an invite to the 500K and get a seat for that, then I will go. If not, I'll still probably go, but if not, there's like Vegas, Prague, there's some other stuff, but yeah, I think like 90% of the time I'm going to be there. Bahamas is great that time of year, and it's not very often you get to play at 2,000 bullet 25K.
Yeah, never probably, right? Never happened.
No, I mean there was the other one in Bahamas. I remember playing a very big one, but this is, yeah, I mean this is going to be crazy. I was quite surprised to see that guarantee. So
they are doing the online flights, right? That's the thing. Obviously,
yeah,
I actually didn't realize that right away, but it makes perfect sense because there's no way you're getting 2,000.
No, without that you'd just be
live. It'd be impossible.
No, without that you'd just be torching it. I think, especially when there's multiple trips. There's like Prague and Vegas on, so it's not like everyone in poker's there. It's not like World Series where you've got kind of a monopoly on the whole poker world. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how the event goes. There's some other fun stuff as well. There's a 100K PLO. There's a 100K Triton event. Then there's 500K Invitational. Yeah, it's going to be a fun one to play. Hopefully I make it into that one. See. Wow, this is Kravchenko just 3-bet the Queen 10 off versus Ravid, and now the 8-4 off. He just seems to be deciding that Ravid is opening wide as the chip leader and he doesn't care about his cards. So
I'll tell you what, if I ever play with Kravchenko, I'll remember this guy. I'll remember that. Like, you know, if he ever gets a good hand against me, I'm probably gonna be going pretty light against him. He has really pushed the envelope, stands out as the most wide and out of context, out of pocket on the 3-betting. Just literally just feeling it, just going for it and making it, and been pretty spot on. I think he ran into aces once, right? But other than that, he's gotten some folds and he's sort of actually, Ravid's made big hands. He's stepped into a few times. There was also ace jack suited ace queen where he flopped a nut flush earlier, won a decent pot off him there. So yeah, it's been Ravid definitely getting the better of that matchup so far, but also running really well.
it's funny though, because Kravchenko just snap folded ace-5 of diamonds here. So I think it's very specific to, he is basically just saying, you know, the chip leader's opening very wide. After you've opened that wide, it's really hard. You have to really fight back. You know, if you're the chip leader and you're opening 45% on the button, sorry, like cut off. If you're, you know, maybe you're opening like 50-60% on the button, and you get a 3-bet, you've got to do some pretty crazy stuff to fight back enough so that you're not just overfolding versus the 3-bet. So I think it seems quite specific, because as soon as second place opened, he didn't even touch the ace-5 suited. So it does seem to be this thing where he's just decided, hey, the chip leader's opening really wide. I don't think he's going to 4-bet shove wide enough or 4-bet click. And yeah, he just seems to be really going after him and just 3-betting every time the chip leader opens, but not the other players. So kind of an interesting approach. Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Well, jack 4 suited, limps in, ace 8 off, flops, middle pair, nut kicker turn, ace 8, dead man's hand, got the 2 pair, and jack 4 suited. Debating if it wants to take a stab or not, does not, and wouldn't have been good. As ace 8 now, pretty comfortably betting. Yeah, Nick also, Petrangelo, who was just the guest last week and with GTO Lab, or I guess it was off last week, so the week before, he won the 10K at the Win this summer, the main event there, for what, like 2 million or 1.8 or something crazy. I mean, that's like just a ridiculous ROI. And aces again. All right, I need a counter. Who's gonna go through it, scroll through and find it? It's 8. It's 8 or 9? And Robbie's had him 4 times. This man has had aces 4 times alone at a final table. Can you remember the last time you've had aces 4 times at a final table in any tournament you've ever played in your life? Have you ever? I mean, you probably would remember that.
I mean, I'm not sure I remember that many tournaments I've had aces 4 times, like yeah. Entire tournaments. You know, a lot of tournaments just, well, I'm playing a lot of tournaments that are like 400 hands long, 400-500 hands long. Like getting aces 4 times in the and that's if you win. It's like, I'm not sure how many tournaments I've had just getting 4 times at all. One final table when we say a final table, there's still 5 left. We're not even halfway through, so pretty crazy run.
Spooky Halloween. Happy Halloween out there, everyone. That'll be tomorrow, and it is a bit spooky out here. That's what we got going. Ace queen gets out flopped by ace 7 suited, and a clean turn. So lucky, not feeling as lucky here. This is a tough one to be out of position, get called. The king 6-7. The stakes are high. Maybe you have to slow down. I mean, you do have the spade.
Yes. Yeah, tough situation. And now a tough situation for Higabi, right? Like, so yeah, I mean, I don't blame the fold. It's like tough to think of many bluffs out of position there, and you know, when he's opening so tight. Yeah, nice takedown.
Very nice hand. That was, I would say, I'm so lucky. Best hand of the day there to follow. That's not an easy shell right into the chip leader. Big moment there to get that through, and he is back into contention. 11 million no longer the short stack battling here with a flush draw versus top pair. Gonna be some
Yeah, this could be a big pot.
here. Yeah.
But see, I mean, if I think a lot of the time it will go check call and then check on turns and check fold to a bigger bet if he misses. So it doesn't always have to be big, but definitely some options for it to get big.
Yep.
But yeah, that was crazy. Like Vegas is so long. I wasn't there at the time I left. I went to Vegas only for like 2.5 weeks this year, but yeah, I was like railing from home, and yeah, it was great to see Nick win that like right at the end of summer. Massive 10K. Yeah, it's crazy some of these fields these days.
And Jack 8 suited. He does have the missed flush, not maybe one of the best bluff candidates here. He is going to shell it out an ace 9. Pretty easy call here, I would say, with checking the turn too, right? He checked turn and just setting up pot control. I mean, I don't see how.
I was going to say, yeah, I was going to say, I think that's what he's tanking about. I think versus the third pot on the river, it's actually quite hard for you to be behind, right? You expect a lot of kind of maybe some king 6 of hearts, maybe some ace 4. So I think the ace 9 is pretty strong. If he feels like I'm so lucky as like face up with his sizes and would bet bigger with a deuce, then the ace 9 is going to pretty much always be good. So try to get a little like kind of milky with the min raise on the end there, but I like it.
I respect that. I mean, that's a good point by you. I don't know how obvious or how many everyone's just going to necessarily go for that though. Kind of just happy with the pot, hard to get called by worse.
Yeah,
it does go for a nice play. I mean, Kravchenko's impressed me today with he's really been attacking and again, sort of just feeling spots and been pretty spot on. Did run into one of the many aces that were passed out today, but he's been overall good timing and sort of peaking right now with 15 million coming into his own. And this is wide open. The three of the 4, we got the chip leader and then the 3 stacks with 20, 15, 15. And now, so I'm so lucky with 8, but yeah, it's still a lot to play for and wide open here. Not a guarantee by any means who's going to take it down.
Yeah.
Pay jumps coming right now.
Kind of looked like he was running away from it for a bit, right? He was up to 40 million, kind of had a 19 and 3, 10 or 11 million stacks, and it's evened out a bit since then. It's, yeah, I mean, it's poker, right? It's like, feels like you have a lead, you're like, oh, I have 40 million, they have 20, but it's, it's 40 big blinds and you're playing a lot of wide range spots. It's easy for it to start turning the other way. I mean, if you can run it up from 3.5 million to 40 million in an hour, you can definitely run it back down in the same time. I missed that. Was this who bet the flop? I guess the 6-4 bet the flop. It's kind of interesting.
Ravi bet the flop.
Yeah, it's quite quite interesting one. Pretty aggressive 6-4, I think. I would typically think that when you get like an ace jack 7 flop that is perceived as good for the small blind, that when the small blind checks, they very often with a lot of people have something they're going to check call you with. So just kind of starting to bluff with a stone nothing with not even many backdoors is a little ambitious for me. Maybe even just something like, if you really, really want to bluff, maybe just something like deuce 3, where, they have some more limp, like king 5, where they might not limp king deuce or something, and you get the backdoor wheel draw. But yeah, took the aggressive line and then kind of gave up.
Well, this time we see the flush, 118 to 1 odds to do that. Not easy. Does get the flop jack high flush as well. One of the tough ones. We've seen this a few times. Both players have been betting in to the other when they have like the stone nuts, basically, almost stone nuts. He's going to come for another shell here. Ravid, a little sprinkling of chips right now out there. He was up to 38 or whatever and didn't 3-bet queens, and now he's going to be down to at least 28. Don't really see any version of winning this hands. And Jack 3 suited going to raise here on the turn. Does that surprise you?
Yeah, I didn't expect this.
I don't see why you would raise there. I guess like maybe you get Like what, a 9 of clubs to call you?
I think maybe some things as firstly maybe not facing a big bet on the river if it you get to kind of set your price. Uh, I think when it was the block size on the turn, yeah, you might think you get some 9 of clubs, 8 of clubs, or just some sets, right? It's not out of the question that Ravid would still just bet turn small with a set, and then you get to check back river. So
Yeah, I mean that looked crazy to me, but yeah, I guess I mean it does seem there are some good properties on like you mentioned to set the price, and you could maybe he could get sticky, but he does go ahead and shoot that up
I
there.
think it's definitely not standard, but like this, I think the standard is just to call and be a little more polar in that line, but sometimes those lines that no one really takes can work out pretty well if everyone's settled into, oh, you don't really raise this turn much, then small blind can start betting 2 pairs and sets for like some protection value, and maybe they improve on the river, and then if you want to just start raising some of your weaker flushes, it can go well sometimes. Yeah, I didn't expect it. I would have mostly called. I probably would have always called, but
this is very interesting sizings. Garby goes 1.8, so big, and then a small 3-bet and gets the fold with King 9 suited, realizing he's attacking the I'm so lucky, and that now he's going again, right? 1.8. Man, this is Robbie's ready. He's putting it on.
I think these are just one. I think these are just 1 million raises because the pot says 2,050,000.
Right,
I think it's just a little unclear.
Yes, you're right. I was gonna say that's actually like a crazy size. So, okay, that's right.
Yeah.
38, Ben, getting old, 2 kids. I told you, just the size. This all trying to.
It's quite tough to see. I had that earlier. I thought when David had like 620, I thought he had 920. It's like quite tough to see some of the numbers in the pot sometimes, like the smaller bet sizes. But
Minko gonna not just give up, but gonna quickly give up here. I think after the deuce 4 does limp. Been a little surprised by this too, and the chip leader.
Yeah, especially with the half ante. It's quite a loose, half ante into the chip leader. You're in second, not the person you want to be playing big pots against. Quite a loose thing, really. Kind of stubborn, not wanting to give that one up.
Yeah, I've been surprised today a fair amount. There's been some interesting hands. Say overall pretty aggressive. Sort of hit that juncture where things have calmed down a bit. Real money, major money starting to be on the line, and everyone's playing a little bit more. Things have slowed a bit, but still active, and could be 4-handed here pretty quick. We'll get that giveaway queued up at 4-handed. Again, don't need to hit it more than once. You can just type in the keyword. Don't need to spam it a ton of times. And we will see a button raise, ace deuce. Everyone's sharing a deuce here. Kravchenko attacks here, man. This guy, I have to put him in my top 10. This guy's my hero. If he just really just goes for this here. This guy.
Funny. I feel like I think the other 2 he did quite quickly. I think he was really wondering like how many of these can I actually get through? It's been just like 4 or 5 in a row now where he's 3-bet Ravid's open, but no one else is opens. Yeah, he didn't get this one through. I wonder how far he wants to take it. What do you think the chances he shoves here?
It's low. It's low, but
he's definitely got it in him.
He's burning a couple seconds here. He's going to be below 11 minutes on his clock. He's definitely not. He's going to show face on this one a little. If he shoves this in, I'll take a walk. I'm going to use the restroom and I will be back because this would be too much for me. That would have been. Oh, Ravid, little Greg goes all in. Wave, man. Little bit of hello. I see you. Seeing you. What you got? That was 1 hand too late. Gets the ace king right after. And our friend in the small blind probably not passing up this hand.
This might just go in. He might just shove this. Yeah.
Whoa. We got a 30, 29 mil pot here brewing. Ace 4 suited to ace king. Things got serious quickly. Ace on the flop. Gonna need help. Deuce. Chop would be insane. That would be quite a swing for everyone if it's black, and it is. Oh my goodness, it is.
Looks like
wow. Yeah. That is a sick.
Wow, that's pretty sick.
Chop. I'm so lucky was licking his chops there. Was licking it for a big jump. That would have been nice for him, or put him at least not to be the shortest, right? He would have been, but yeah, that was a very big moment.
Yeah, that's a sad one to see.
Yeah, if you're lucky, I'm so lucky. And now though,
Yeah.
this is a pretty clear one. Ravi definitely opening wide. I'm so lucky. Gonna go for it. Does make this.
Yeah,
Does make
just
the play.
took some time. I think he just like still probably tilted about the last hand about
Yeah, a little lag tilt. That
not
was.
having a bust out or something. But
Yeah, he was content. He was ready to go to bat with that. That was a big moment. We have seen some massive pots today. That was a lot. Kravchenko, he's got to be a little sour about that. Does flop well here. Queen 8 got over to the 10. 2 hearts is behind the 7 paired.
it's great to watch these two play.
Here.
Ravid and Kravchenko. It's like an interesting matchup. Guess this will go bet forward a lot.
Yeah. What it could have been. Kravchenko, that would have been a huge power shift, right? Would have been 30 mil on direct left to Garby. Would have been basically close to four-handed, still 5, but it would have left a very short player. And now, though, he's back to 16, still healthy. Still sitting well, but big moments, big swings. King Queen, we saw this pass similar. Was more people left and also a little different situation. Going to open this time to King Queen on the cutoff. Gets it through.
I'm quite surprised to see the snap fold from Ace 4, but just giving respect to the open. This looks like some. I wonder what Ravid's going to do here. It's going to be quite interesting if Ravid 3 bets and then Vaskrzynski has 10s off 32.
Big bet.
Like not a very fun spot if you're in the big blind with 10s here. Think he's going to go with it.
I do.
I think he's just going to shove. I mean, you could also. I think that what you probably want to do if you're going to go with it is to go like 5.7 or something. And Ravid is polar anyway, because he's going to be 3-betting hands like this and then like Jacks plus. He's not going to call your 4-bet much because he's not going to have Ace Jack suited. Those were just flat pre. So he's either going to already have it or not. And then if Minko goes with it and Ravid goes with it, you can just fold because they're going to just have aces. So you could just do like a kind of 5 or 6 million instead of shove, which I think is what he's doing. I think with how polar Ravid is meant to be here, with the 40 big stacks and not meant to have as many linear 3-bets, you could do that same idea, but go even to just like 6 million. I'm not sure you needed to go fully 7.5. I think usually those bigger sizes are to stop people flatting you. But when the 3-bet range is just like queens or ace 8 off, it's really hard for them to start having a flatting range anyway, because even if you go small, like what are they going to do with ace 8 off? But yeah, I do like the idea of not shoving once you decide to go with it.
Yeah, nice hand. Good point on the difference there and what's necessary or not. But he does get the job done. 20 million. He's in second. He's got a set. Ace Queen missing and 10-9 6 board, 9's connecting for the third nuts. And effectively the nuts, right? I don't think 7-8 suited. I guess pocket 10s.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're feeling good. You flop 9s, 10-9 6 rainbow. You're feeling nice. Chess clock coming into play a bit. Overall, most players, I think there hasn't been a ton used today. It's been fairly fast. Yeah, it's a good fold there. as a little heater, and out the door, that spade needed a 4 spade to stay alive, and now 22 million. I mean, again, such a wild swing, and a little bit of a heater. We mentioned got second the other week, did take down the 100K in Cyprus for 1.25 million, his last registered cash in August. So feeling good, feeling really good in second. Basically, man, big swing from Garby. Definitely downtrending a bit here. 2 real hands on the small blind. King 10 suited, ace jack off.
Yeah, it's kind of evened out again. Interesting to see how these hands play. Kind of expected to go raise and call a lot. I wouldn't blame the ace jack for checking back in this setup either. But yeah, this seems.
Ooh.
Well, might have. Okay, well, I mean, shouldn't be the hugest pot because I think a lot of the time, I think, depending on the runouts we see, it's going to be c-bet, call, check, check, turn. Vladimir bets the river and Ravid mostly pays, except for on the really bad runouts. So, yeah, there are definitely some runouts where it ends up all in, and this should save Ravid a bit. One of the kind of more dangerous turns to see. Pretty hard for the small blind not to have something good now.
Ooh.
Wow. It's annoying for Vladimir. It's kind of close that I think blocking seems fine. Blocking and checking both seem reasonable. Like the king is actually still pretty strong. I know it's easy to be scared of the ace, but small blind's still going to have just like a lot of their bluffs pre-flop, right? Like jack deuce off, 9-5 off, even just like king 4 off, and your 10 still plays. So wouldn't be surprised to see him block like 1.5 million or something here, but yeah, he does go with that.
Mr. Heath, sizings and all, got it dialed in today. He is locked in an ace jack, though. Quite a river.
Yeah, no. Now we're going to see a raise and tough spot for Minko. Oh, wow. That's very surprising to me. That's like Vladimir only bet 20% pot on the river, it's pretty hard for him to have. Yeah, it's quite a passive call with the ace jack, I would think. Yeah, I guess he just got scared of the like queen 10 bet 3-bet. Yeah, interesting hand.
Yeah, also I guess power dynamic, 32 mil. You get that one, right? You're still in pretty big control in case something unnecessary. And also, what do you get called by? Worst, maybe thinking in there. There's some hands for sure, but Krevchenko would have gone for value. We know that. He's been thin. He had the ace-9. He's gone for some other spots, but that was a nice pop for Ravi. Very, very big river card there. As you see, needed the ace or the jack was in pretty bad shape.
Yeah, big swing.
Yep. But credit to him for attacking ace jack off pre, had the best hand and inflated the pot in position and ended up getting then the check mark at the end of the run out. So nice pop for him, 32 mil at the moment, 7-9 off. And Minko, who was chip leader, all of a sudden 5-handed, finding himself sort of tied for the shortest 5-handed.
Yeah, tough run at the final for him so far. I would expect this just goes into the muck with not much you can do. I mean, sometimes that's just how poker goes, right? You just get dealt some bad cards and
the
second best hand a lot and fold a lot and get bluffed, and what can you do?
Ace queen, ace of clubs, king 9 with a club, king high top pair. Ravid going to get a club. We saw him so lucky out of position, very similar board, king high, where he had the ace suit of the two spade board earlier. Go ahead and bet. This time though, it's a pretty nice card for Ravid. Picks up additional outs, has the best hand already if he wasn't good, and ace queen Right, this is a little different, less attractive in this situation against a big blind to start ripping it.
Yeah.
He is going to check back as a welcome sight on the river. Robbie going to realize probably have the best hand most of the time, and
Yeah, I'd expect to see a bet here. Pretty tough spot for ace queen. I think. Yeah, I mean it's quite tough. Think you have multiple options available. It's getting such a good price when you can kind of see the like 10-7s, 9-10s. There's also a chance you could decide to bluff. You know, you do have what, like some ace-6 type hands. Yeah, I think that seems fine.
Deuces in the muck, can't blame. Got a very critical time in the tournament. King 9 on the button, and Minko is sort of, yeah, everything not really working out. Gonna go ahead and fold here, leave these guys. And there you go. Garby knows that Kravchenko's not taking it easy on him. He's gonna go ahead and just pass on the 4 deuce off.
So, I mean, that's a nice outcome for Kravchenko, right? Of going this hard at the chip leader. It means that, you know, maybe some of these spots where the chip leader versus some other people might play 100% in the small blind versus against you is deciding to take some hands off, and you get a walk in a spot where you're really not meant to very often. I mean, he had 4 deuce off, so, but, you know, if Ravid thinks that he's being active enough to 4-bet the ace deuce off, then you've also got to think he's active enough that maybe you want to skip some light opens. So, kind of a nice outcome for Kravchenko there.
For sure. Yeah, Garby jacks, no one there. He's been opening a lot. Doesn't get a bite there. As you see, everyone here guaranteed about $500,000, 500. Going to be a big pay jump here, about 150K jump. And then again, the heads up match going to be a $400,000+ affair. We are going to see a winner today, and we will see a potentially new champion on GGMillion. We're not sure. Again, there have been players that have won before here, so we'll see. In terms of wins, Minko's won once, Ilya's won once, Skrinensky has won never. 5-time David Yan, he is out. Sergio Ado, 3-time winner, out. Kravchenko, 0-time winner. I'm so lucky, 0. And Ravi, 2-time. So yeah, kind of up in the air if we'll have a new champion or a repeat. And Ace 4 suited going to go ahead and take the 3-bet spot. He has been pretty patient today.
Yeah, definitely seems. I mean, he hasn't had that many spots, I guess, but definitely seemed a little more patient than last week.
Let me ask you, Ben. Let's say insert yourself here, and you are looking at a player that you have some info on, or maybe recently saw, like you said. Let's just take this exact player, and you're here today. Are you looking more about that can get a little confusing if he's playing, seems to be passing a few spots, pretty solid today, but last week and in general is more aggressive. How do you sort of interpret that? Because that's tricky, right? When everything's not aligning with the info, and you're kind of what would you give more weight to in that? What's happening today, or what he's capable of?
I think it's really tough because you might, depending on the delay and stuff, you might not have seen whether he's passing on spots or whether he's just not being dealt combos that he can do it with at all. Because he wasn't going so out of line last time where he was doing what Kravchenko's doing now and just taking any 2 cards. He was just kind of taking all of his hands that could be aggressive and being aggressive with them. So you don't know unless you're seeing him actually pass on spots in the replay whether he's just being kind of like card dead today. But having seen him not be as aggressive, just frequency-wise, I would kind of keep in mind that maybe he's toning it down a bit. And, I would have gone into this final table expecting him to tone it down a bit because of last week. But you've still got to be aware of, earlier Luke opened the King 7 suited and he 3-bet the Ace 5 off. you've still just got to be aware who you're playing against and know that he's very capable in these spots. So, you know, I wouldn't just start going so far the other way that I start making really big folds to someone like that, because their natural tendency is clearly aggressive. So you don't want to start leveling yourself into like, oh, maybe they're not today. It's just, you know, aggressive players are going to be aggressive. So, but yeah, I would be slightly more cautious.
Well, Minko is officially having one of those moments. I mean, he is just, it's like every time he opens, someone has queens or aces. He's down now to basically the shortest stack with 5 left, was chip leader. And, you know, again, that's, he had a big lead too, right? It was like 105 to maybe the second and third combined had his stack. So again, not over yet, but it does get a little bit frustrating when you know how much money that's worth and how it's also very unfortunate for him that Ravid went from the short stack to direct left massive chip leader. That's also pretty wild run. That's not normal for sure.
Yeah, he really hasn't got anything going today. It's been a tough final for him.
Yeah, he's got I mean, he's literally, Ravid's got now second and third, their stack combined is his stack. And there we go. That's a real hand though. 10s. Maybe limp here, or is he just gonna go attack with 10s?
I think it's gonna limp, but interesting to see. I mean, he's been limping, you know, he limped the four deuce off, and some, obviously that was deeper, so it's tougher off 14 bigs, but yeah, the small raise makes sense too.
I would think limp with the I'm so lucky stack and just the dynamic and what's going on, but maybe, I guess, yeah, it worked out. He got 5-6 off to call his raise here and flops a gut shot. 10's pretty good flop here. A little scary with the ace. He did get called. It was a raise, but
maybe. I mean, I think what happens pre-flop is that actually, like, if I'm so lucky had 30 million, say, then you want to be limping more and playing more like kind of chippy V type strats. As you get under more pressure and you're not incentivized to play really wide ranges because you're more incentivized to fold and hope that I'm so lucky bust the next hand, the tighter you start playing, the more you want to play like a raise first in only strat, where you just play very tight but raise more. So I think it might be a factor of I'm so lucky being short that makes him raise. Of how it makes you want to play your range overall. I think this one seemed really close. Also, the small ante makes you want to limp slightly less and raise slightly more. So I kind of just expected him to limp a decent amount after limping the, you know, a lot of his weaker hands earlier. Yeah, I quite like the turn bet there as well. Kind of interesting, but, you know, after you raise off that stack depth and big blind just calls, they don't have many ace X. So when they call on the ace 8-4, 10s are still good on the turn a lot, and I think the block is fine. I think it's like easy to miss, but it's probably a pretty good bet.
All right, Minko decides to now attack king jack off. Saw 7s and 4s here. Going to be getting out of the way. And ace queen, it's a lot of hand. He's also been quiet. I think that's probably part of Minko's deliberations here. Is this player now has chips. One of the leaders opening into the other two, they're out of position with stacks, so he just feels that this is going to be super light often, and obviously this player of this caliber recognizes that for him ace queen is a massive hand in this scenario. So he is going to go ahead and push back, as again Minko down to 8.8, just basically tied as the shortest, and the chips are shifting. Are we going to open queen it off? And Kravchenko, this looks like rockets for sure. Ace queen versus this button open in their dynamic. He is going to be hearing from him, and Garby with the queen 8 off. Not much to going to be able to tango back. I don't think that's just going to be that. Just going to have to give it up here. 5 left. Again, going to cue the giveaway here. Once we get four-handed, see if how long that goes. We see 10s for I'm so lucky, and ooh, a couple real hands here.
Yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Kind of expect Kravchenko to flat, but he has been 3-betting a lot, and he 3-bet the 10s earlier in a kind of close spot. So And maybe he feels like he's been 3-betting Ravid so much that he might just get Ravid to just like 4-bet jam fours or something. So I wouldn't be too shocked to see him. You know, maybe he thinks that Ravid will just like min 4-bet a hand like this and he can get value that way. So, oh wow, he's gone for like shove basically.
Whoa, got
And
tens to
whoa.
fold. Wow. Wow, Ben Krevchenko, man, this guy is sleeping with angels today. That was a crazy dynamic because if he had made it smaller, I mean that was a wild swing. And here he goes, going to run into tens. Minko, maybe the first sign of a good spot that he's got. Although I guess too much chips, he's not going to get called. Just going to pick it up. It looks like he's going to rip it in here. So, but still pick up, 2 million, be back up to kind of double I'm So Lucky as the shortest almost, which is getting close to that. So just a little bit of good news for him as we see the blinds are up to the 700K level.
And that was a crazy hand with the nines and the tens. I thought that was like almost definitely going to get in.
Yeah, that looked inevitable, but hey, that's why we play. Very interesting. A couple of real hands here. We are gonna potentially see Minko, the chip leader, start the day, be behind and at risk slightly. I guess call flipping. I don't know if you consider that behind. There's an 8 gone as well. 8s are gonna be in the lead, and yeah, this is gonna be a C5 scenario. There it is. Minko realizing what's at stake here. Could be out in 5th. The start of the day chip leader needs to find help. Ace or a queen. Clean flop. Heart makes it super interesting not to be. Needs the ace or queen. 6 outs, 1 to come. You can see about 14% of the time will hit it. It is paint, but not to be. That is it. Your chip leader start is out in 5th. And little D-Negs golfer clap up there as Minko will have to settle for about a $500,000. 50 buy-ins, but your chip leader, Ben, how do you walk away feeling after your chip leader with a huge lead, 5th place in such a big spot?
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be painful. I think when, I mean, it's an extra million to win it, and coming in with such a big chip lead, I'm sure it'll feel better after a few days when you've kind of settled and the 500K hits your account. But yeah, it's not an easy one to take. I think even if you only come in with 30 or 40% of the chips, you still kind of picture winning, and it's not easy just to give that up. It's kind of a tough spot. Seems reasonable.
Yeah, that was all right. 4-handed. We're gonna keep our word. $50 ticket first, then 100. We are gonna put in the keyword here in the chat on YouTube. It is going to be $50 GG tickets, and you don't need to spam it. You can just put it once. You will be entered. Prefer you don't spam it, and that will be GGWSOP space Bahamas space insert your GGPoker username. If you do not have a jurisdiction for GG, give it to a friend, gift it to a friend, split it with a friend. I'm sure you know someone that plays poker that is in a jurisdiction that can be. So I will put that info in. It's going to be a $50 ticket. And I'm on my wrong YouTube channel, but there we go. I'm going to switch there. All right, we're good. There it is. All right, King Jack, Queen 3, King Jack gonna win. This player does seem dangerous, man. We got ourselves a nice little matchup here. I'm so lucky for the record. Top four getting a huge payout here. He's kind of hanging on. 9 million, still not out of it, but done well for himself, right? He came in on the shorter stack, 7th place coming in, guaranteed a 4th place payout. Had a little bit of fortunate luck, and he's also made a few good plays too. So nice score for him. And we are going to see again, either I'm So Lucky will be a new winner. I think we're likely going to have a new winner because even Yeah, I guess Garby's the only one that's won, two-time winner. The other three players have not won before. So could have a new GGMillion champion here. Ace 8 with the heart, certainly not going anywhere. The ace of hearts gonna hang in on the flop.
Instead of I could see this 4 sometimes going for it on the turn. I think he'll mostly give it up, but I think you can see him coming out with a big bet here. Kind of get some like Queen X, some 8X to fold, some like just Ace 10 to fold, and sometimes you get called by Ace 10 of spades and show it down. But yeah, it does go for the kind of standard check. I think if you're going to do that, you probably want to use just something like Ace Deuce or yeah, I guess this just shows down now. Kind of interesting now that these three stacks really even, right? About as even as we've seen. 26,
Yeah,
28, 28.
Yeah. Who's impressed you the most so far today? The final four here. I mean, one of these players.
I think Maxime's played well. Yeah, I think he's been good to watch, and it's kind of interesting to see him change it up a bit from last week. Show some like range of play, not just blast mode. But I have enjoyed watching Kravchenko take every possible 3-bet spot against the chip leader. And so many people kind of back away from chip leaders. It's like quite fun to watch someone just do the opposite and just take any 2 cards and just 3-bet every open. It's been entertaining.
Yeah, definitely. No, he's been. I mean, again,
kind of wide open here as well.
Coming into such a big spot, and again, it's hard to know, but based on his GGMillion earnings, I think was is it right with 0 ever in GGMillion's 400K total to just come in and really go for it is it's impressive.
Yeah.
No fear. These two, there's been some records today, all around records for aces, for light 3-bets. We've seen we kind of figured action today, and that's been, it's not disappointed. Definitely been some cool hands.
Yeah, Kravchenko seems to be stepping it up. He just opened the 8-5 suited, raising the king 8 off versus the limp. I'm so lucky kind of spinning it up as well. Just got those 2 shoves through the ace 5, was it blind versus blind, and then ace 10, small blind versus cutoff. Now 10s. Having a good nice little run, could even out all 4.
Ace 6 suited, that's going to be likely going his way. A little bit of a, always never easy. Gets the overcard ace 6 suited, ace high, backdoor clubs. Does he want to?
Yeah,
creative.
Interesting here, right? He might go for it. He does like the aggro lines, and this is a kind of very cuspy hand facing 1 big blind. But decides not this one.
Gives it up. We're going to announce that winner once we hit the 250 thumbs up. We are going to give a $50 ticket. Appreciate you guys tuning in. And again, 2,200 here watching a very large prize pool. We'll be back next week. Eugene Katchalov joining as the guest. Again, as you mentioned, Ben, kind of there, one of the early day crushers, and he is going to be kind of coming back into poker a bit. So curious to see as we see ace, king, and 6s. That could have got a little more out of hand, but that makes sense with 6s. And both players do have a club. Ace, king is.
Yeah, I was thinking that might get out of hand pre with how much he's been 3-betting. Like, you wouldn't blame the 6s at all for shoving, right?
Well, that if we had seen that shove, it would have been quite an interesting flop. We would have seen max sweat, as the turn is actually for 6s one of the better turns. Non-club picks up straight draws, beats some hands, and pretty SPR, stacked pot ratio, about what these players have behind here. Ace king. This is a tricky spot, right? You got that key card. There's definitely trust issues from Garby. So like, do you want to just attack and pounce, or do you take your equity and maybe even allow yourself on the river to get creative? I just think that he's going to keep the lead in the hand most of the time.
Yeah, I mean it's actually quite tough as well when you think about the calling ranges in these ICM spots getting a bit tighter pre. It's quite tough for Darby to have a flush here, right, with the queen on the board and you've got the ace. So it's kind of a good spot to put a lot of pressure on because like hands like 10-9 suited, he's just going to fold to the 3-bet. So having the ace is really key and just blocking that. So I think it's kind of hard in some of those spots where it's easy to level yourself and think you want to shove with the ace of clubs, but would you actually have many value hands to just shove the pot there when they can have a flush? But yeah, he went for it and just got the snap fold. So yeah, really nice takedown for him and kind of separating himself a bit now.
And we are about at 250. Going to select that winner here in a sec. Appreciate everyone who has tuned in. Hope you guys are enjoying. This has been a treat. Again, Ben Heath, about 23 million in live earnings. Could you even guess your online earnings from all the sites and the days, and for how many years now? What are we talking? 20 years playing online and different sites, different, could you even guess your live, I guess, or online? I guess it was Pocket Fives for a long time, was tracking stuff pretty regularly, but I think stuff's changed. And do you have any idea?
Nothing like any of these guys. I mean, I've only actually been playing poker for 10 years. Tournaments, I think, and I haven't really been playing online tournaments for the last. I kind of stopped playing online tournaments mostly even before COVID, like the last 6 years. I really played just like coming up. I played some online tournaments, so I don't think my online earnings would be that high at all. I kind of quite quickly moved to playing majority live, and I've kind of stayed out a lot of these. I played some of the big games on Party at the beginning of COVID during lockdown, and some GG stuff, but have been pretty much out of the GG games since then. Which a lot. You see the earnings of some of these people; it's just insane numbers because so many buy-ins, right? So it's just getting so much money down. But yeah, I really haven't been involved in a lot of that. There's such a big live schedule these days and huge games, and not always that much time in between. I kind of get my fill of poker from that. So yeah, not like any of these guys.
Makes perfect sense. A6, and again, the dynamic here, he's going to check back the trip aces. 10 does come, so a improvement for Garby to a 10. Queen king would be a straight. Does have a queen. Going to check, and now I'm pretty sure Ravchenko kind of suss out a check. Wow, a little surprised.
Yeah, there's been some tight river plays today. It's interesting to see him switch gears a bit. I think he really was, and I wouldn't personally take it as far as this kind of any two card thing where he was doing it with the 8-4 off, but I do like the idea of going after the chip leader when they're opening wide. And now that he's covering, he just went to flat the ace-6 suited, play in position against someone who maybe has a tighter range but will have a tougher time post. So it's interesting to see him like completely switch dynamic with how he's playing those. I mean, hard to say after just one hand, but it appears that way. But yeah, an interesting river check. I thought he would. Maybe just thinks it's hard to bluff that spot on the river, so he's not going to get called too light. But still would have expected to see him value that.
Well, I can tell you what, I'm so lucky with the Queen 9-5 4, the Queen 9-5 Rainbow turn 4. He has got himself an excellent spot against top pair. You can't really get a better spot than this. And on the going to the river, he's got himself a pretty much guaranteed winner. There's almost no scenario with this hand if somehow like a diamond or some scare card came and he checked or something. I still don't see him folding. So let's see what's going to happen here. Ravid probably not loving this as an 8 comes. A little scary, Jack 10, but 6-7. It's actually one of the cards that makes things happen, but still Queen 9, top 2 pair, blind on blind, wide ranges. Got to feel pretty comfortable.
Yeah, the 6-7 actually, with the 4 on the turn as well. So one of the kind of more dangerous rivers. But yeah, I'd expect to see the Queen 9 bet still. And tough decision for the Queen Deuce. Yeah, I mean, I think for this size, it's gonna be really tough to fold. I think if I'm so lucky, bet 5 million, you could see him get away for it. But yeah, it's tough to fold for these tiny sizes. You really don't feel good about it because it's hard to see him just turning up with something like jacks, and do people just triple barrel for this tiny size on the river? Um, yeah, I mean, you can see clearly not loving it. Tough spot. Not one that you're kind of happy with any decision folding top pair to the like less than third pot on the river is never fun in poker. But calling these spots where a lot of people just aren't bluffing is also not fun. Um, yeah, it's just like tough to know which decision to come to.
Well, I tell you what, I think
I,
Robbie's also just grappling with the fact of his ride, the roller coaster that he was chip leader. He was shortest to chip leader to now potentially shortest again. It's a bit emotional. Although four-handed, going to lock up some serious coin. You come in 9th of 9 with 14 blinds, and then you're 4 left. You feel pretty good no matter what. But he did get the massive chip lead four-handed. I mean, honestly, you know the moment, right? What's the moment when things shifted a little bit, where there was that little bit of a inflection point? I can remember specifically for Ravid where he was cruising. Do you remember that? Good fold.
the queen's handle.
Yeah, he ends up 3-betting there. Probably just picks it up. He's at 40 million. He's got the guys on the left hammer locked with their same stack. Well, there's aces again. We are officially at a course record today. And yeah, he would have had 40 and things a little different, but again, still in 11 mil. A lot of play available, and he's definitely going to be happy with the outcome today, no matter what.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun to see Kravchenko now because Kravchenko's been, I feel like, pushing it a little, even when can't remember exactly what, had a few opens earlier that were slightly wide for his position. Like he opened the 8-5 suited when everyone was even, had a couple other wide opens. So now that he's chip leader and definitely allowed to open wide, it'll be interesting to see how far he takes it. I was wondering whether he's tanking, whether we see this. We haven't seen many too much aggression from I'm So Lucky and gets it through. That's quite a nice little momentum shift for I'm So Lucky here. Got some nice hands and then a nice bluff through with pretty reasonable hand to do it with. I think the king six off is seems like a good selection there. So
yeah, probably a little hard for some of these players to sleep in a 10K special one. 1.4 I'm So Lucky has not really, what we said, has zero million in earnings with 0 GGMillion earnings, and coming into quite a spot to play today, and is find himself just in there all of a sudden four-handed 3-betting king six off, making moves 3 of 4, going for a milli score. Quite exciting. Sort of the poker.
Yeah, it's pretty sick to have a final table this big, like that early on when you haven't played that many of these.
Yeah, definitely living himself a day. He's got the shark emoji, looks like the China flag, and coming in for a big payday, regardless of what the final outcome is. Of course, the title's nice, and man, about 150 blinds up for grabs. 150 buy-ins, I'm sorry. 210, 2-4, both suited. 210 just putting pressure, and this is a guy that is not a give up guy. He is going to fold though the 4 high in the blinds, but two titans here, 2 guys that are very aggressive. That would be quite a heads up match. It's shaping up that way, although still much to play for. I'm So Lucky still 20 blinds, got like 13 blinds here for ace deuce suited. Ooh, 7s.
Yeah, another tough spot for Ravid. Not really going his way at the moment. Don't think he's going to get through this 7s. Would expect it to just get shoved. Small chance he does something like 4.4 million for similar as, to get away if I'm So Lucky.
Yeah.
Puts it in. But
well, he's got the 7, 7, 7, 7 in his stack. He's got 7s. He's feeling good. I think he is going to rip it in. I'm So Lucky. Also, we saw I'm So Lucky fold 10s before. Wow. Ben, talk to me.
Yeah, I thought that was going to go in.
I'm shocked at
that. Yeah, I guess he just thinks the open is really tight.
He's the shortest stack too. I mean, he's got to do something. I don't know. That was interesting to me, especially the player of his aggression and spot four-handed sevens to a min race. I mean,
yeah, and it was only about 12 bigs, and it's so easy to actually. I feel like it's actually easy to kind of raise fold those spots a bit too much if you're not like he had the ace deuce suited. It's so easy to have the queen 10 off and raise, and you're not actually. And then maybe or 14 bigs, you just open jam ace queen off or ace jack off instead of raise calling them. It's I don't think it's a spot where I would think, oh, it's he's definitely really tight here. It's pretty easy to just you're going to open king 10 off. Oh wow, this is big.
ace jack
Can't really blame him.
33 million in the middle, needs a big help, needs the river now. It is looking like an ace or ace only from space. Can it be? It is paint. That is not enough. And D Kravchenko is on his way. He has got a very, very healthy 52 million. Good game. I'm so lucky. What a payout. Congrats, my friend. Enjoy that score. What good plan. And now Ravid, who is the shortest, is getting at least top three. He is the shortest with 3 left, though. And we are gonna play it out, and Kravchenko with a big lead here. Now it's got more than the other 2 stacks combined. So this is shaping up pretty quick. Got to get this. Gonna have.
Yeah, kind of interested to see this limp. Like I was expecting Kravchenko to be doing a lot of raising here when when you've got someone on 12 bigs or 13 big blinds, and then the mid stack. I think you can put a lot of pressure on as the small blind, and he's been very aggressive. So interesting to see him kind of change it up a bit. I think Raskowski's meant to mostly just try and show this down, but he does like to try and bluff. So yeah, he's going to go for it. I think the ace high is good enough in this spot to actually just show it down. You have even just hands like jack 8 single diamond that you float the small flop bet with. So I don't think you need to necessarily bluff this hand that often on the turn, but kind of like we said before, he does seem to find a way to go into the aggro nodes when he can. I wonder if he's going to. Doesn't seem like the best hand to start to go for it again, though. I don't think this is the one you want to have, but we'll see how far he wants to take this hand. It is not going to get through. I think he might get it through if he shoved, he would get a tank. But I think other than that, he's not going to be successful. Yeah, this is not getting through.
Going to make quick work, and this is going to be the dream scenario developing for Kravchenko. 3-handed, huge lead, up over 60 now, 18 and 10, 800K big blind. So we got about 12 blinds and the 20 signs. So yeah, here he goes. Here he goes. 5 deuce, jack 5 off. Going to get the walk.
Yeah, really nice spot for Kravchenko now. It's tough for the others to do much.
All right, we are going to have the first winner. It is YouTube subscriptions. That is the YouTube name, and the name of the account is No13. That is our $50 winner. Going to do the $100 one. Let's make the keyword ticket. It is going to be GG WSOP. We'll throw Ben Heath. We're going to use the word Heath and then enter your GGPoker username. I forgot to do the tweet today, guys. Sorry about that. We'll have to double down next week on that with Eugene. I didn't put that out today, but we do have a $100 ticket coming up right here. And yeah, nice pickup from YouTube subscriptions. Nice name on there as well. And now we're gonna see a ace queen to 7 deuce, 16 million pot, ace queen, big favorite. Got to fade the river 86% of the time. We're going to still be three-handed. And that is a 3 across, and that is a 7. The slow peel GG right there. Ravid, what a fight. Gets to the podium, picks up a lot of sherbert. Going to be bowing out in third, though, for 835. Came in with 9 of 9, 14 blinds. So he kind of leveled up by like 650, 670, some kind of a lot of money from where he started there. And now we got the heads up 74-17. We will have a new GGMillion champion today. I hope you are loving it at home. We've got a $100 ticket pending. GGWSOP space Heath, space your GGPoker username. I'm going to announce it once we cross 300 thumbs up. We got 260. We got 2,200 on right now watching, and we're going to see a new champion today, as well as a $404,000 heads up match. Lots to play for. Big deficit, but not crazy. What is it? 3-1 or 4-1? I'm sorry. It's 72. So yeah, 4-1, right? 1836. 4-1 deficit. And that is not crazy. Not a crazy amount to overcome, but still a big ask.
And back-to-back back-to-back heads ups for Maxim, right?
Impressive. He is real. Kravchenko, though, man, I'll tell you what, this guy, I take it back. If I see him again and he just starts 3-betting me, I don't know if I'm just going to come play him. I might be just afraid. He's had good timing, good tempo, good aggression, played very well, and he has got the formula today. Got himself a 7-figure score. Congrats. Very, very impressive. 2 tough names to pronounce. 2 flags. They just look like strong, like the Eastern European sort of like crushing, solving, doing good things, playing well, aggressive poker, and we're going to see someone get it done today. Ace deuce 5-7, 271. A lot of familiar faces today. A lot of people coming in from all over. Ryan Gleedow. It's all right, man. Listen, if you guys want to put it more than once, you can. I'm asking nicely to just put it once. We will announce the $100 winner here before this is over. And we have got Ben. Ben, appreciate you being here, man. Appreciate the time. I know you're over in Europe and it's a little bit later. What time we got? It's almost like 11 there, no? 11, 12, 10. What's 11?
It's 10 now. Our clocks went back actually, so we had the daylight savings changing, so would have been 11 last week.
Oh, actually, I think we have daylight savings. When is daylight savings for the US?
I think you have it, I think, slightly later than us, because usually you're Miami, right? Like usually you're 6 hours behind me, but now you're 5. So I think we have like a few week period where you're 5. But it's getting late here, but it's always fun to get on and do these reviews. I watch all these final tables, and it's, like you said, it's fun to like watch them live, because usually I'm just like skipping through on YouTube and like trying to see the interesting hands. It's nice to see like the timing and kind of, you also see every hand, right? You see the small hands, so you get to see like the leveling stuff and if people are getting in certain moods. It's always interesting to watch these.
Doing the commentary is way different than just like scrolling through and looking at the spots, because you really like then kind of feel the dynamic, like a true final table that you play, right? Where you're like in it, little things happen, you think of everything, versus just like, okay, this is the spot, this is the hand, for today. So yeah, very, very interesting, very different.
Yeah.
And it is a full review, which is nice. But yeah, do appreciate the time. And again, Ben does coaching with the GTO Lab. Where can people, if they want to follow you or be involved with some of the stuff you do, where can people get a hold of you or follow along with your poker stuff?
Mostly on Instagram these days. It's like kind of where I post poker stuff. So that's the one, really.
That is, and what is is it via GTO Lab? Little Jack's nice hand to get heads up as a big chip lead. Can people like book you or reserve you or get in touch with you through GTO Lab, or do they do it better on Instagram? Where's a better way for them to get?
No, the stuff with GTO Lab is going to be like, kind of like the webinar I did with them last week. It's going to be videos, like coaching video style, where I'm doing topics. It's not like one-to-one coaching, so there's no option to book it. It's just kind of if you're subscribed to GTO Lab, then you'll have access to those coaching videos when it launches.
Got it. That makes sense. Well, Queen 9 making a nice second nut flop. Jack 6 with the King Jack 10 2 club, deciding if he wants to keep betting or checking. I guess of course draws there. There's Queen X, the clubs. There's 10x. There are hands are getting value from, and he is betting right into effectively the nuts. And now a decision: do you just call or do you decide to try to charge draws, cooler someone, and get a scare cut? These are always interesting to me in spots like this, what makes more sense.
Yeah, this is quite a tough one as well, because it's tempting to want to slow play, but the queen and the 9 are also the cards that your opponent's gonna triple barrel with as bluffs. So you do block that, and you make it more likely that they just have like a king 7 or a king 10, jack 10 that they're not folding. So I can understand the shove here.
Good discipline at the same time, right? Yeah, calling off there doesn't feel great. You're either crushed or dead or some massive like combo spot. But yeah, I think that was.
It's a little annoying to fold those ones when you're like betting a little thin on the turn with a hand that could have checked. So yeah, it's you feel like, oh, I could have checked back and now I'm being shoved on. It's like a little frustrating. All
right, well, we're still back where we started, about a 4-1 chip lead. Going to give, again, 300 thumbs up. We will announce the $100 ticket winner. We need 20 more. We got 2,000 plus watching, and someone's going to win a GGMillion title and pick up an extra 400. But both players here are locking up $1 million. That is 100 buy-ins. Pretty impressive, pretty strong, pretty special day for these two, and one of them will get the title. And we see a 7 jack 8.
Yeah, for a lot of the last few heads up matches I've watched have gone really quick, so I haven't actually seen that many heads up hands in this, right? I think the last one was Michaelitis one, like first or second hand, that ace 9 against 4s.
Yep.
Quite a few of them have gone quite quickly, so might actually get to see some. It's a little different. Like live, the games I'm playing are big blind ante the whole way through, so you're playing this really wide range. I mean, obviously heads up is going to be wide range anyway, but a little different here with the kind of quarter big blind ante. Vaskrzynski getting dealt a lot of these offsuit aces that it just shoves first the limp in the big blind. Kind of annoying for Kravchenko to keep limping these nice hands and getting shoved on.
Yeah, really impressed with his game plan today. And even, well, I'm so lucky, got pretty fortunate on, what was it? The one he did chop where he was against
the
9,
A6,
yeah. Turn, got against a set and had to hit the river 10, got the slow peel chop. Yeah, that was, but he's, again, a couple of people spun it up, really. I guess the person who had the worst day was the chip leader, Minko, going for 5th when he was first. And there's some other people that really benefited from that.
Looks like just a shove, and I'm surprised he limped this one off 18. I think it's like a hand I would have expected to just be shoved.
All right, we are gonna. Yeah, that was. I agree. I think that was. It's funny how that was him, right? The spot where he. Or no, it was Robbie. There's someone who checked back like a really. It was him, right? With the trip aces in a spot where he checked turn, check river, and the A6 where they trip aces.
Yeah, that was Kravchenko.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's been like very aggressive in some spots, and a little more conservative in others. Doesn't seem to have like a fixed game plan. Just it's quite a big Big fold too. I mean, not a big fold, but would have expected a call there. With the ace that kind of doesn't interfere with any bluffs.
Yeah, he also limp.
And the pair. Yeah, it was just limp and one big blind, and I mean, yeah, it's an understandable fold, but I would expect him to call. Wow, this could get.
Yeah,
Kravchenko kind of went for the might save Maxim now. Like he went for the limp. I would still expect Maxim to just carry on betting though. Like if you're just in a limp pot heads up, pretty hard for Kravchenko to have Queen Jack, or he never has a set. He pretty much never has an ace, right? So I think it's quite likely you actually see him go for a river bet here too. It's just so easy for Kravchenko to just have like, King 3 of diamonds and not believe him. And it's quite hard for him to actually have better than ace deuce here. Like if he has ace 8, it just goes in pre, right? So he never has an ace that's better than you. So it's only if he has like 2 pair.
This could be it. This definitely could be it. I mean, he's gonna see what size he goes with, but right, this could be the timing, the tempo, taking it down. Does he rip it? Does he bet big 7? Does he go for it all?
Yeah, it's very interesting, right? Like the more natural size in the river is all in. Yeah, that's not gonna work.
That is it. That is GG. That is a champion, Kravchenko. Wow. He played excellent today. Aggression pre, cautious post, just got it done right there. What a title. What a pickup. His first win, you see it there. That was going to be either way a first win for the player. 404K heads up match, gets it done. $1,486,000 going his way. Ben, talk me through the final table. What stood out for you? What shocked you? What are your takeaways today?
Yeah, I mean, it was like a really fun watch. Tough for Minko to come in as the chip leader and go out in 5th, but I don't think he really did anything wrong. It just didn't really go his way. And then it was great watching Kravchenko, like that kind of style that we don't usually see of really just going after the chip leader, but not just going. It wasn't like going after everyone. It was really just specifically going after the chip leader and then leaving the others alone, which is kind of the opposite to what a lot of people do. So quite cool to see that approach, and it worked out. And then he switched it up at the end and kind of went a bit more conservative and closed it out. So it was really cool to see that.
It was there was textbook. Definitely very, very, very good execution there. As you see, he was in 6th place to start. He finished 1st. We had our 9th place finisher finish 3rd, and we had our 7th finisher finish 4th, or was it 4th? So I mean, pretty much a table flipping there. You can see Kravchenko was 13.82 to 1 if you got a bet down there in the client on GG. That is something offered for the events. That was what would have paid out, as some of the favorites kind of finished in the middle bottom even. So that was very, very interesting breakout today. A little unusual in there. And again, a 1 million, almost 1.5 million at first. We will see next week. We're gonna have Eugene Kachaloff, who, again, a name maybe some of you haven't heard for a while, but he was one of the sort of titans and early on grinders, a lot of big results, big wins, and he's focused on esports with Clash, something I actually invested in. He's been doing, but he's kind of wanting to get back, itching into poker, getting back into content. That'll be fun. I hope you tune in for that, Ben. I hope everyone gets to see that next week, and I'm sure we'll have other big names and another big prize pool the following week. Ben, we hope to see you in the Bahamas. Appreciate the time. Again, Ben Heath, give him a follow on Instagram. Check him out. Very, very, very great player and very generous with his time. Also does participate in some coaching and reviews and doing with GTO Lab, and again, some of the biggest names in poker in that, with Jonathan Jaffe. You've got Nick Petrangelo, always pronounce his name incorrectly, as well as Daniel DeVoris, all guys who have been on this show, as well as Orpin, who I know you're close with, and hopefully we can have him. Ask him. I haven't talked to him in a while. I'd love to have him on the show as well here in the future.
Yeah, I'll ask him.
He's a great player, and love to pick his brain too. So anyway, guys, girls at home, thank you so much. Congrats to the ticket winners, 50 and 100, over 2,000 watching today. Appreciate it, everyone. We'll see you next week with Eugene on the show. Have a great rest of your week, and we will see you on Tuesday.